He stood over a defeated enemy, threw his weapon away in the moment. His sword fell to the ground. He realized something had gone wrong, thought the enemy would hold out longer, but at that moment, someone appeared. Seokaju immediately took notice of this. He turns his head and asks, "What are they doing?" He is surrounded by a crowd of armed men. Now they were definitely convinced that he was too strong. The enemy that lay there was far from weak. Therefore, they will not allow someone like him to become the head of powerful families. What happened here proves that he must die. Seokaju asked if that was why they had decided to betray him. Murim doesn't need a lord. He'll die here. Seokaju started coughing up blood at this moment. He called them fools. He's not interested in power and such. And then he smiled. He can't stand betrayal, and clenched his fist, in which yellow lightning flashed. Seokaju used the heavenly thundergate. Some swords made of lightning flew straight at them. Of course, they immediately went on the defensive. No way, the guys are still standing. Our hero kept screaming. They were thinking of killing him. Now let them get theirs. Seokaju put in even more effort than before. It was enough to break through the enemy's defenses. At this point, he recovered abruptly and began coughing up blood again. Everyone got a good feel for this guy's power. Seokaju grabbed his heart at the moment. Damn it, at least he didn't die himself. The hero was smiling at this point. Surprisingly, he was dying, and everyone was watching. God of Thunder, be prepared to live the ninth life. Seokaju was lying in bed with some girl at that moment. He must have been having some kind of dream. He was saying, "No." He jumped up in the moment. The guy looked at his hands in horror and muttered, "What the hell? Am I really?" The girl at that moment asked him if he was awake, calling him Mr. Baek. The guy thought he must have been reborn again. Seokaju asked what year it was, but in a moment told her to forget about it. The memories of this guy stung him, as it had only been 30 years since his death. The interval between lives used to be about a century. Strange that he was reborn so quickly. So those bastards who overcame him are still alive. They're still here. The protagonist realized that this was his chance. He was so furious that he broke the glass in the room. It was worth it just to think of them, and he gave in to his emotions. The girl asked the gentleman if he was okay. Seokaju realized that this was his new form and experienced shame at losing control of his body. The structural harmony of the Kaimak was broken. It's deadly. The inner urge can't be increased by normal means. The mirror was very expensive. So he became desperate and started drowning in alcohol and women. Why did he break it? Was it because of the marriage? What a miserable life he led. If he gives us up now, it'll be the end of everything. How much that asshole drank. His head hurt a lot. The girl told him to come back for more. Wonjo County, the residence of the Baek family. Seokaju opened the gate, and at that moment, everyone immediately noticed him. No, it had been a long time since he'd last been here. Apparently today Kanet's guests had exhausted the girl whose profession was to serve and entertain guests by dancing and singing at festivals. Seokaju looked at them at this moment. He was immediately welcomed. Their looks of contempt are unsurprising when you remember his licentious lifestyle. He wants to be alone for a while, so no one is allowed in to see him today. Today that miserable existence came to an end. This is his ninth rebirth, Baekmugun, and from now on, he will take up the healing of the body. He's going to start a new life. Seokaju utilized the energetic unity of the soul and body. First, he will summon inner strength with this technique. Got it. Now we need to release the first locked Kaimax. If he restores this channel, he will gain full control over the force. But how badly it is deformed. Even with minimal loss of concentration, the recoil is so great that it could kill him. And what he's done before. He was so desperate to get stronger. And this was the result. He understands his motives, for this is the ninth reincarnation. But don't let him worry. He was able to clean up his eighth form. All that was left was to regain full control of my emotions and some more concentration. At that moment, someone started breaking to him, calling him brother, and said it was Miuk, asking him to open the door. He was literally trying to break down the door. The man said that they needed to meet, but Seokaju realized that it was impossible right now. At that moment, some guy was running somewhere. He was really in a hurry and running very fast. Running inside, he asked if his brother had come home. The girl replied that the gentleman had returned about an hour ago and was now resting. The boy was confused, not understanding why he hadn't been told about it right away. He started knocking and asked to open the door, saying he had to talk to him, but the gentleman said he wouldn't see anyone today. He begged to be let in, saying he knew a way to cure him. Seo Kaju asked him to shut up, explaining that he was busy right now and couldn't lose concentration. But on the other hand, the guy wouldn't stop breaking despite the rejection. What luck to have such a little brother now. Apparently this reincarnation was not so unlucky. Seo Kaju realized that he shouldn't die, but in order to survive, he needed to work hard. First, you need to unblock Kaimek, that is, the 8 miraculous meridians through which chi energy circulates. He succeeded, but needed to do it more accurately. The girl and the guy at this point noticed something. The bright light in the guy's strength was so great that they were thrown off. The younger brother didn't realize what it was. He immediately ran inside and asked what was wrong. Seo Kaju replied that nothing had happened and greeted him. He said it's been a while. He couldn't remember the last time they had lunch together and asked if he would go with him. The guy cried and said he didn't mind. After a while, they went out to lunch. They were sitting together and the moment looked very beautiful. Seo Kaju suddenly noticed something. He saw the guy smiling strangely and looking at him. He asked why the man was so pleased. The guy replied that it wasn't a big deal. It was just that he had changed a lot, like he was a different person. By the way, he found out a way for him to get his power back. Seo Kaju said he shouldn't. He's already been able to get his emotional harmony back, but this is just the beginning. He thinks he should be back soon. The guy was happy for him, but Seo Kaju said he still had a request for him. Tonight, let it bother him no more. The guy tried to obstruct him. Seo Kaju continued his training for a while. He had learned a lot today from his younger brother while he was drowning, apologizing and hustling for wenches, and the situation in the house was heating up and his wife was gaining strength. While he was busy doing his own thing, the number of uncle's henchmen had grown tremendously. He had wanted to become the head of the Baek house for a long time, but since he was too old, it had to be done by his son. The uncle decided to appoint his son Unhwan as the heir. For some time now, the foolish Herrenbone group has been running everything in Wonjo, and it's obvious that with the help of his son, his uncle wants to increase his power by using the pirate group. Looks like the family's troops are going up against the pirates. He doesn't think they'll make it, and thinks it's worth it for him to join too. The strength of this house alone is not enough to take revenge on all the supreme families, but if he could combine the house forces with the 10 Chalgan clans, only then would he be able to defeat the supreme families. However, to do that, he needs to become strong enough to lead the family. He has to go to the top. To do that, he needs to get a lot stronger. He has an obligation to get stronger. It's the only way he can fully recover. Seo Kaju looked at his sword at this moment. Seo Kaju planted it, and then epically took over. At this moment, he looked at his reflection in the sword blade. Even though the sword looked old, the sight of it was still exhilarating. So, he decided to give this sword a try. Then Seo Kaju opened the door. The young gentleman has been dealing with his health for a month. He's trying to regain control of Kaimek. He doesn't think he's just going to make it. It will take a month of hard training to recover this. The man couldn't figure out who was there and ordered them out. At that moment, the man began to approach. In a moment, he landed right in front of them. It was Seo Kaju. He looked coldly at the men at that moment. He heard from his father and immediately asked how his health was, for he had heard that he had recently returned from the eastern frontier. Dad was fine, but asked what about him. His father immediately grabbed his arm. He asked how things were going with Kimek's recovery. Great, he's almost restored it. His father asked him to tell him how he had managed to do it, because it takes a month to recover, and he had managed to do it in a short time. The father replied that it was not as difficult as everyone thought and added that he would like to borrow something. He too will be involved in the mission to subdue the pirate group. His father approved of his zeal and said let it be up to him. At that moment, blood was flowing into the sea. He told his brother that he hadn't been to the sea for a long time, and looking at the water made him breathe easier, but he'd rather they were here for a different reason. He asked if he was afraid of the Herrenbahn pirates, but the Baek family warrior of course replied that he was not. But there's still something bothering him. He's afraid they might be stronger. So he's afraid they'll actually turn out to be stronger. Lately, pirates have been eager to take in all the refugees hanging around in distress, so their numbers are increasing. The Baek family warriors, led by Mr. Unhwan, try to resist them, but the pirates are outnumbered. The recent skirmish in Fujian province proved that, and so Kaju told him to be quiet. The guy couldn't understand what had happened, but he noticed something. Directly in front of them was the ship at that moment. Seo Kaju realized that it was Haegu's gang. Seo Kaju shouted that Harenban's pirates had attacked the ship and ordered them to go after them. Everyone immediately jumped up from their seats and got down to business. Someone shouted that it wasn't good fun, and to let everyone know it was the work of a pirate group. They would kill everyone and take everything of value. These scoundrels from the group have completely lost fear and dare to attack so openly. And these guys are not enough just to take the money and jewelry. They will not rest until they destroy the entire team. The boy asked his brother if he was going to attack alone, because it was too dangerous. If he didn't hurry, innocent people might die. Then he would go too. But his brother replied that he could manage on his own. Seo Kaju went straight to their aid. At this point, some guy was yelling for help. The man, attacking, declared that he was dying for the glory of Harenban. But at that moment, someone cut off his head. It was Seo Kaju. Everyone was very surprised when they saw it. The man asked what the other man was. But who cares? He's alone. It's better to finish him off. Seo Kaju was unwavering at this moment. Then he finally shifted in his seat. He began to deal with everyone with ease. He killed them one by one. It really was easy for him, and he felt no resistance. His movements were professional and elegant. Who the hell is that? Who is he anyway? Wondered the enemies. At this point a very fit man appeared and said he had finally met someone interesting. It was the commander who told everyone to get out of the way, calling them a useless piece of shit. But he recognized that this piece of shit could wield a sword pretty well. Seo Kaju looked at him without emotion at this moment. But today luck is not on his side, since he is faced with pirates, who are not called sharks for nothing. At that point, the man began to attack him, but to his surprise, he stopped suddenly and felt a sharp pain. Everyone saw the big man go down. Seo Kaju asked since when sharks were allowed to go on land. At this point he turned to the remaining men. Seo Kaju was interested to hear their prayers. At that moment, he used his power. They are closing in on the pirate ship. Everyone prepare for capture and leave no one behind. When they collided, everyone jumped on the ship. At that moment some man landed on the ship. Others landed with him. They couldn't understand what had happened here. To their surprise, no one was left alive except for Seo Kaju. His brother asked him where he came from. Seo Kaju said they haven't seen each other in a long time. Hwan. At this point, it was already evening. The hero sat at the table with his brother. Guy said he was glad to recover his kaimek for having captured the enemy vessel single-handedly. He was now in good standing. They weren't a serious threat, nothing special. To be honest, he expected the members of this group to be stronger. He regrets that the warriors under his command are still not strong enough to deal with the pirates on their own. Let him know how hard he tries to succeed. At that moment a guy was walking past the cabin. He arrived to help him, to gather the full fighting power of the Baek family and fight back. He had heard that it took a little time to recover and was thankful for the confidence of success. Whether his force will be strong enough to completely defeat this group is the question. Seo Kaju looked at him with a smile on his face at this moment. The guy was surprised at this point as well. At this time some man was on the deck of the ship. He was clearly unhappy about something. A guy in the past knew him and asked him what made him so angry. His name was Baekmugun. He was sick of this young upstart, for here was a man who had recently regained control of his body. He's here to help them defeat the pirates, but he's just jealous of Mr. Unwilling and wants to prove that he's capable of something too, because he was able to fully recover in 1 month. They had captured a ship of this group today, and that was a good start. But he thought he had only gotten rid of the small fish. Let him admit that he was angry because he himself wanted to chat with the commander over a mug of rum. He doesn't care what they do. He doesn't care about blood ties and such. He only recognizes strength. The only person stronger than him on this ship is Mr. Unwilling, and he's an upstart. At that moment, Seo Kaju appeared and asked who the upstart was. Someone appeared behind him and said that he didn't care about blood ties. Only strength was recognized here. The only one stronger than him on this ship is the master, and he's a big shot. Seo Kaju asked again who the upstart was. Both of them turned toward him at that moment. They greeted him at this point. Seo Kaju said, "Not worth the formality. Let them treat him like the rest of the team." They were quite anxious at this point. The guy said he wouldn't dare address him informally. He considered him a worthy warrior, for he had fought bravely and deserved due respect. Seo Kaju continued to insist that the formalities be dropped and he be considered a regular member of the team. The man with a disgruntled face remained silent. The guy replied that it would be as he wished. He introduced himself and said his name was Nakilban. And this big guy's name was Baek. These guys are in good shape, and if the rest of the team is on the same level, there won't be a problem. He escorts them to their quarters where they can meet the main crew. He asked why they didn't stay on their ship, as he wanted to meet his family and share his experience of fighting pirates. The man said the man was a poser. They headed downstairs and had fun. They were really having a good time and laughing at this point. After a while, they all went to bed. Seo Ka-ju and his brother recalled past events at this moment. When morning came, Seo Ka-ju immediately started practicing. The guy at this point was upset for some reason. Seo Ka-ju asked if there was something he wanted to tell him. The boy wondered if his brother didn't notice the truth. Seo Ka-ju remained silent and smiled at this moment. Mr. Unhwan doubted that many team members liked him, but there were others. A true gentleman will not become angry if others are unwilling to recognize his merit. He had encountered this expression before in his book, but the guy was hurt. Everyone knows how hard it's been for him to regain his strength. He's done so much for them, but they keep doubting him and it's been very frustrating for him. It's okay to have an opinion. After all, he destroyed his own reputation. Plus, he's only recently rebuilt Kaimak and realizes they won't be able to fully acknowledge his services. Warrior Baek doesn't need these tears. Let him stop whining like a broad. They prove their power by deed, not by word. Unwon didn't say anything bad. He just wanted to make sure he could rely on him. Warriors who are not confident in their own strength behave in this manner, so let them ignore it. The guy didn't agree with that. Soon he is going to bring all the members of the Baek family together. What does he think about it? If that's what he really wants. At that moment, someone came out to them. Would the gentleman deign to show him his abilities? Let him attack. Sword or fist doesn't matter. He will respond in kind. Macho Man wants to play with dolls, simple as that. The man immediately began to attack him. The guy clearly didn't want this fight. The man had been waiting for this battle and began to attack immediately. But Seo Ka-ju easily answered him in the same way. At this point, the man apparently decided to use all his strength. Then he applied himself to everything he had. At that moment a note flew to them. The man took this note. When he read it, he was very much surprised. Then he went to tell it to some man who was also displeased. The Baek family warriors are heading towards the eastern border. At this point, the man was surprised by something. The mountains were fighting him at this point. What was this nonsense? He felt as if he were hitting an iron wall. Wasn't that the hand of a man? With a smile on his face, Seo Ka-ju told him that he had a pretty good punch. However, there was one but. He should still work on his technique. The man couldn't see how it was possible. He didn't understand how Seo Ka-ju was fighting him with such ease. Seo Ka-ju then tossed it into the air. Then he landed him on the ground with all his strength. At this moment, all the sleeping people abruptly stood up. They thought the gang bastards had finally shown up. They're going to have fun now. And Nung Kyo-un, Woo Baek-san, Mak Dae-pun, and Sa Du-gwan ran outside. The guy told them that they were finally awake. They were just in time. Let them look. Was it not a band of pirates? Had they not heard a great rumbling? At this point, the man was hit very hard. Seo Ka-ju asked if he wanted a rematch. The man said he would pay for the deed. At this point, he closed his eyes to focus. He then said he would fight at full strength from now on. The guy so knew he was going to lose to him anyway. Let him look at his condition. He can barely stand on his feet. At that moment there was some sort of explosion. Everyone didn't expect it. The man started dancing like Seo Ka-ju. Seo Ka-ju was not afraid of him at all and only smiled at him as he struggled. Everyone was very much surprised by this turn of events. Then they saw the blood. After that, their expression changed. A smile appeared on the guy's face. The man was defeated again. Seo Ka-ju asked if he wanted to go again. The man deceived, saying things weren't going according to his plan. He was furious and said that Seo Ka-ju was finished. These guys have one rule. What the strongest wants, everyone else wants. It's to prove my power. We need to show everyone what we can do. Everyone was very much surprised at how strong Seo Ka-ju was. It feels like he's fighting a rock. What's there to win? He can't even touch it. The man was rocking that he was giving up after all. At that moment, to his surprise, he began to rise sharply. It was Seo Ka-ju himself who picked him up and said that he had great form, but should still work on agility and technique. If he finds his perfect technique, he can make mountains. He is proficient in an impressive number of combat techniques. If he needs help, let him apply. After that, the man agreed with him. Then a guy in the night approached him and walked over. He said he apologized for the team's behavior. Seo Ka-ju said it was okay. It was a warm-up. The man was surprised that it was a warm-up, and an easy one at that. Mornings are the best time to work out. If anyone else wants to join, they're happy to help. If he would allow it, he would like to sword fight him. Seo Kaju said he would love to do that. Nakil Ban may not let him fight him. It was his destiny. Through his actions, he gained the respect of the Baek family warriors. However, he knows that the brother is hurting all this to prove he's worthy. In order to keep his balance, Seo Kaju began to demonstrate how to do it. Through help and others, he develops combat techniques. Everyone immediately said that they wouldn't want to fight him in hand-to-hand combat and learn from him. Seo Kaju can win their favor as well. Tandu, Eastern Boundary. Some man was telling the guy he was here. It was Baek Jong-un, the commander of the family's army. It's been a long time since they've seen him, and he's glad he's in good health. The man served and reported that he had already managed to destroy an entire pirate ship single-handedly, and his equipment was indeed fully back. He apologized for not reporting sooner. He didn't even believe it at first. Wouldn't he share the secret of how to recover quickly? But Seo Kaju said it was long to tell. It's more important now to discuss strategy for dealing with the REBORN pirates. He laughed and said he could see he was really okay. He wasn't worried about him anymore. At that moment, Seo Kaju noticed some girl. He was very much surprised at how beautiful she was. The girl also immediately recognized Mr. Baekmugun, said it was one. The Yoon family and the Baek family settled in Wonjo province as merchants. Eun Yi-sang, the heiress of the family, was betrothed to him. Seo Kaju approached her at this moment. The girl asked Yulia if it was really him. Seo Kaju told the lady that of course it was him. The girl remained silent at this point. She was shy, then looked away and said it was clear. The mistress greets him, because he lost control of Kim Baek and began to lead a dissolute lifestyle. The engagement was broken off. Seo Kaju asked what madam was doing in that vegetable garden. He should have come right away and greeted him. Just arrived and he asks what he's doing here. It was Uncle Baek Jong-gi. The girl was standing in the world at this moment. The chief was very surprised. Seo Kaju apologized for keeping him waiting. Let his brother watch. Mungun hadn't fully recovered yet, and the man said he looked quite healthy. But we need to see if his combat abilities have returned. At that moment there was a greeting from my father. Have him come over here. He did well in the mission to subdue the pirates. It was a great job. The guy at this point wanted to say that he had nothing to do with this at all. Even though he's up, we need to discuss military strategy soon to finally destroy them. Although he hadn't fully recovered, he still decided to take part in the mission. How noble. He didn't even try to hide his annoyance at the situation. Why was his brother in such a hurry? Seo Kaju hopes Nyuk hasn't noticed anything. The guy told him at this point that it was okay. He knows for sure that soon everyone in their family will be convinced of his power. Seo Kaju thanked him for those nice words. At this point, night had fallen. The guy was sitting at his desk reading something at this point. At that moment someone came into the room. The kid was glad his brother was finally back. He'd done a great job today, but the head shorter said it was no big deal. Everything from that meeting he already knew thanks to his notes. How could he single-handedly gather all the information? He said it was easy. So be it. He just listened to what people said and culled out what was important. But it was incredible. To be honest, he found out from Moon's family. At that moment, someone wanted to knock on the door. The guy apologized to his brother. He just wanted to help him. It was all he could do. Seo Kaju asked what he was apologizing for. He did a great job. He knows full well how hard it is to get information from merchants, and it amazes him how cleverly he has managed it. Everything that happened with Eun's family is in the past, so don't let her worry. Though he doesn't have the precociousness to become a great warrior, she has outstanding intelligence and inner strength. The information he had gathered would allow him to locate enemy ships, and that was very important. All information is obtained from books and from other people. He has assembled and organized his own information network. Nyuk has a unique intelligence. He has all the makings to become a master. He is already capable of doing what Murim scouts do better. He has very high hopes for him. He also has assignments for him. What does he think is the right strategy to fight the pirates? The guy said he wasn't into it at all. Let him just say what he thought. They are inferior to them in numbers, so they need to send scout ships to gather information before the enemy moves. Once they understand the movement pattern of their fleet and the main routes, they can get in. If the Yoon family agrees with this strategy, Seo Kaju suggested ending it there and called him a good boy. What he suggested was the most appropriate strategy for the Baek family. The meeting decided to stick with this particular plan as his staunch loyalist. It turns out that he supported him without even realizing it. How is that possible? However, this strategy is appropriate for the moment, but in reality they will be repeating what they have already done many times before. The attraction of the war between the Baek family and the pirates was suffered most by the trained residents of Wonjo province. Seo Kaju suggested changing the question a bit. What should they do to end this problem once and for all as quickly as possible? Momentum averted his gaze from him, but in a moment said he knows what needs to be done. He believes in their power, so he has one suggestion. Heron Islands. Rock Heron. 3 years ago the Baekmugun of the family lost control of his Kaimek. This is the one that was supposed to die any day now. But recently he was able to regain control of his body and technique. What nonsense, there's no way he was able to recover so quickly. This is verified information from scouts. The Yoon family has assembled a council to come up with a plan to deal with them. The men were on fire at this point, literally lit up in their eyes. He thought it was terrific news. The head mountain man told the guy it was great. At that moment a girl burst into their room. She wanted to say something about the Baek family, ready to support his proposed strategy. At this point, the ships were ready. The man asked to hear the lady out. They don't know when the Herrenbahn pirates are next, so there's no way they can give up their ships like that. But as far as she knows, he's not the one responsible for the fleet, is he? If the ships get out now, they'll be just in time. Even a slight delay will cost a huge loss. Even knowing that they will suffer a great loss, he still tries to establish this and offers no alternative. The man realized things were going badly. If he'd done the right thing from the start, this wouldn't have happened at all. He wouldn't be held responsible anyway. How dare she talk to her elders like that? That girl had gotten too high up her nose, just getting to power. She was the one who put him in his place. We should learn from her. Now get in line, brother. The girl said she did everything he asked. Seo Kaju said not to worry, he wouldn't let her be in danger. A moment when some man nearby was fishing. He had a pigeon sitting in his hand. Then he sent it off. The man asked, has the Yoon family's fleet sailed yet? They will suffer too much damage and are delayed. According to intelligence reports, did not set off without the support of the Baek family fleet. Money was more important to them than their own lives. That was funny to him. Well, they're asking for a good beating, too. Right now, have them send a red dragon and a black dragon to intercept, but they don't know where the Baek family's fleet is yet. Sending 2 ships at once would be risky. What does he think about sending the loathsome trio out this time? He decided to go along with it. Wouldn't give the newcomers a chance to prove themselves. These guys should be able to handle one ship. He suggested following the following strategy. First, the Red Dragon attacks Bokawa to distract the family and draw out their fleet, while the family's warriors rescue the fishermen. They attack the Yoon family's ship. That is the strategy that will be favored. He had a mission for him. He wanted to be with his brother, but then he remembered his words. He believed in him and hopes his strategy can help him. At this point, the guards were clearly idle and bored. At that moment, he noticed something. He said there was an alarm. Pirates were attacking. Pirates have attacked the fishermen from the south. We need to quickly send a fleet to defend. Where did Mugun, Baeksangnan and Nakil Bang go? Suspicious ship approaching. At this point, they did not show up. Seo Kaju told the girl not to be afraid. Their number didn't matter. He would be able to handle it anyway. But the girl became furious and asked who is afraid here. She represents the Yoon family and is ready for anything. She hopes, however, that his words are not just to show off. Like a hero, at this moment, he looked down with a smile. She has changed a lot. The blood of the Yoon family really flows in her. The girl doesn't realize who is being bullied. Don't let her worry, even if he's making it up. He's not lying. He and the boys will figure it out quickly. Let him prepare to capture the enemy ship. Kill everyone except women and children. This was a black dragon captain named So Cha Kong. The caller's calls practically ran into each other. The man couldn't figure out what the intent was. He saw that moment, and then in a moment most of their ship just trashed in an instant. What the hell was going on? He couldn't figure out. He destroyed the entire ship in one blow. He couldn't figure out if it was the same Baekmugun or not. It was obviously their main ship, so he hoped for luck. It didn't matter if it was fast or slow, they were still going to die by his hand. Hell, this was the guy who was going to die from losing control of Kaimek. He'd never met someone with that kind of energy in Murima. Let him go, he's no match for him. Seo Kaju couldn't understand what they were talking about. It was that loathsome trio. Well, at last at least someone worthy. At this point, they were all watching from the sidelines. In the end only 2 ships arrived. The man said it was his right ship. Whoever figures it out fastest wins. The man asked if he was the head of the Baek family's army. Luck had clearly turned against him since their paths had crossed. Anyone trying to oppose them. Seo Kaju said to pile in already and start attacking. The man went into a rage after this. At that moment, he immediately began to attack him. The man couldn't figure out which pirates they were talking about, since they didn't see any. They were surprised by this. How come? They definitely saw the pirates attacking. Are they fools? The man couldn't figure out what was wrong. That's exactly what the Baek family's fleet is thinking right now. That was the plan all along. The guy was looking at the map with a smile on his face at this point. Even if they didn't fall for the false information, it's a pirate thing anyway. Then is it really? Pirates have attacked the Un family fleet. We need to turn there quickly. He was a fool. He accepted it. He fell for their ruse so easily. At that moment, he noticed a pirate ship directly in front of him. Thanks to the beacon signal, they had sent the Baek family's fleet there in advance. They should have already met. It was a good move. At this point, they clearly didn't expect to see them. What the? Why those bastard Baek bastards were already here, but they needed to sink a couple fishing ships to appease them. Why they come back? He doesn't understand either, but they can't ignore them so easily. Someone shouted for them to board. If they don't retreat, let them turn back. They are stuck in fishing nets. Now they need to get out. The man became furious after the incident. At that moment, they noticed something. The man immediately became furious, and he went after Seo Kaju. Seo Kaju easily defeated him in one move. His brothers immediately began to worry about their brother, but at this point, it was too late, and Seo Kaju had defeated his opponent. He straightened up in a couple seconds. That's just the way he is. When the guy decided to stop him, the man tried to stop him. He used the shadow of a dusky ghost. No one has ever survived this attack. Seo Kaju wasn't worried at all. At this moment, he was looking at him with a smile. He then easily repelled his attack. The guy couldn't believe he'd easily done it. Seo Kaju started to get closer to him at this moment, and then easily defeated him. The man himself had already become furious and said he would tear him apart. He was definitely finished. He started attacking Seo Kaju. Seo Kaju still had a smile on his face. Blood could then be observed. Of course, it was Seo Kaju again who easily dealt with everyone. The man couldn't understand how it was possible. He was so quick with the hideous threesome, it really was amazing. He was just a monster. The man realized it was too early for him to die and started running away. At this point he was ready to jump ship, but at that moment, Seo Kaju grabbed him and asked him if he was going far. Decided to abandon your comrades? When did he get so violent? It was very dangerous here. He was really strong. The girl noticed that he had become a different person. At this point, all ships were destroyed. Someone asks if they will go after them, but they need to save the fish first. They didn't expect their attack, so they suffered significant losses. They prevented the Red Dragon's attack with almost no losses. They have rescued the fish, now heading for the Un family ships. Good thing they were lucky to get here faster than they did. At this point, the man was furious. What did he just say? He couldn't believe that they had been defeated. Surprisingly, it was true. The Black Dragons and the Abominable Three had been completely annihilated by the Baek family's commander. His mother, with her reputation as a cutthroat, could lose. How was that even possible? Let them send the Red Dragon now. He apologized. The Red Dragon was also almost completely destroyed by the Baek family. He wants to win, hence the need to cool down. The man said it was a wise decision. Either way, now all they have to do is wait, because together they serve the moves. No one can set foot on their islands without his permission. Seo Kaju told the missus that she's doing a great job. He thanked her again for sending him along. The girl said they shouldn't. They owed him. If it wasn't for him, Seo Kaju has one request for her. Will she let him voice it? The girl said sure. Anything. Nothing she could borrow. Her ship was headed for the pirates' main base. The girl was surprised at such a favor. The boy couldn't tell if it was true. The girl said it was true. And the lord along with 2 warriors of the Baek family completely destroyed the Black Dragon. They took a few hostages. Brother Baek Sang Jan and Nakil Bang were just the 3 of them. He and his entire team couldn't even handle even one Red Dragon. The 3 of them had dealt with the Black Dragon and those 3. Now he wondered where they were now. They had taken the captain of Sachin Khan's ship hostage and traveled to the pirate's base. And the gentleman also asked me to give him something. They're heading to the pilot base now. As soon as Unwan gets here, have him deliver these words to him. How so? It knows he's strong, but this was too dangerous. He thanks for the concern, but they need to stop them as soon as possible. Well, he had to go after all. The girl tried to stop him. She and Un's family will always be at his side. Seo Kaju thanked her for those words. It's all clear now. She regretted letting him leave like that. He headed straight to the pirates' headquarters and asked for a message to be sent back to base and ready for the next move. At that moment a pigeon flew to the guy. It was a message from his brother. So they had succeeded. As planned, he succeeded in destroying the pirate fleet attacking the Un family's ship. He took their captains hostage and learned the location of their base. The island of Haranban, where the pirates' base is located, is hidden with the help of a fog veil. Let him ask. He'll tell them everything. Just let him not kill them. Right now the main problem is that they don't know how to get there. But he'll take a chance and try to lead the guys straight to the base using his ability to see through objects. As soon as Unwan returns, have him and Uncle get this message and tell them to be ready. Don't worry too much. He believes in him and his strength. His brother believed in him too. At this point, they continued to float on the sea. The men were fighting someone at this point. The guy was no exception either. He fought. As it turned out, they fought the main character and he said that was enough for today. They thanked the master for teaching them. It made him feel better at heart to see them improve. It was all thanks to him. The result was there. They have definitely gotten stronger. Numerically outnumbering the pirates won't be able to defeat them. But these two haven't reached a high level of skill yet. They need to find the right technique first. But still, Seo Kaju looked at them with pride. They weren't afraid to go with him on this dangerous mission. As a thank you, he would help him pick up combat equipment. The guys were really excited about this information. At this point they were caught in some sort of storm. They noticed that the fog was what So Cha Khan was talking about. So Kaju said that was it. Let them get ready. The man immediately ran after the captain. Let him go, for he had business to attend to. The man said he would do anything he wasn't ordered to do. They really got caught in the storm at this point. What the hell did they do? It was Jiang Sa Ming's bloody sickle, and he said that last time he shouted so much that he would destroy all the Baek family bastards. He ended up losing his team and ran away with his tail between his legs. He had no honor. Because of them he had to drop what he'd started. He was back to hell. If he looked a little more he'd find it for sure. At that moment, they literally saw some fairy in the sky. What was that? It was the Black Dragon's signal. They continued to sail through the sea. Someone yelled for them to come this way. This was apparently the Black Dragon captain. He had survived the encounter with the Baek family's guys, but you could say that he survived and even managed to escape from them. But at this moment, Seo Kaju was behind him. Let him just try to throw something away and he would feed it to the sharks. He's not the only one like that. He's gotten a lot of abuse from those freaks too. They're heading for the Mist Veil. They continued on their way. At this point, they had already passed the foggy veil. Seo Kaju realized that everyone was going exactly according to his plan. At this point, the man was very nervous. The man decided to approach the master and tell him that he was a pirate to Hag. He will betray them, as expected, but if they do, they won't just go around in circles. Let them not worry. Smooth Games said he had thought it through. The man started shouting to the red gods for help. The bastards of the Baek family are on that ship, but at this point, he had already activated his powers. He was really ready to deal with them. He was always ready. They were not expecting such an event and didn't even know what to do. That's when they had already landed on their ship. Seo Kaju said to kill them all, and at that moment he stopped for some reason. The men could realize that this was the same Baekmugun who had destroyed the Black Dragon. Why was he even the captain of the Red Dragon? He was a living weakling. He didn't punch him. He's about to slaughter everyone. At this point, he began to attack. Seo Kaju noticed that the guy was quite strong. They're the ones who destroyed the Black Dragon, and you can't tell that from him. He decided to see how they would put up a defense against his punches. He used the soul-stealing blood sickle. How can he do that? Seo Kaju easily deflected the attack, but the guy didn't want to give in and said to let Seo Kaju get what he deserved. At that moment, Seo Kaju noticed something. The two boys said the gentleman was careful. At that moment, the air jumped violently. He was very much annoyed by these things. Not bad body control, but he absolutely can't attack it in the air yet. But once he's down, he's definitely finished. He doesn't want to waste time on him. Seo Kaju decided to check to see if his technique had recovered. At this point, the man was expecting something. Seo Kaju began to focus the lightning bolt in his hands. After that, he decided to use Thunderbolt. The guy realized what Seo Kaju was doing, but it was quite late, for Seo Kaju had pierced him and killed him completely. Everyone was very much surprised. This was a turn of events they had not expected. After that, the guy went down. What was that? How was he able to kill him without even using a weapon? The man had never even heard such a thing. At this point, the man began to get very anxious. He immediately fell on his knees and began to say that he had lost. He wondered if he might have mercy on him. Seo Kaju asked if he had spared those who had asked him to do so. At this point, the man was confused. He dared to kill innocent people. Now he has decided that his life is more important than theirs. He wasn't going to kill anyone from the start. The man became furious at this point, and he had nothing more to lose anyway. He set about his business. His hurried actions. Nikki looked at him at this moment. At this moment, Seo Ka-ju took out some book. One of the pair, 18 Ways to Take a Bloody Sickle's Soul, had to be flipped. It was unlikely that this technique could be used in a battle with a demon, but the guys could definitely use it. These are the dreams of something interesting. The man who came down from heaven. That's right, this is the place. It is where the legacy of the divine messengers who came from heaven is located. We can't wait any longer. We have to move out. Seo Ka-ju said he had something to do with the guys. He hopes everything will be alright. What's he talking about? He's seen him. Have them return to the base. He has some other things to do. Once they are there, have them take Baek's warriors and return. They know the way to the base. How will they get to the pirate's den? He'll deal with it and use the eyes of the thunder god. After that, the guy was gone. He instantly burst into a cave right in the middle of the ocean. So this is the place. It's an artificial current. That's what it's all about. Seo Ka-ju noticed that there was something down there. It was impossible to see it from above. Seo Ka-ju then began to dive into the water. With each passing second, he was sinking lower and lower, and at this point, the ship had already arrived at the base. He destroyed the red dragon and the black dragon. He had other things to do, so he stayed. After they found another, he told them to go back and bring the Baek family ships. Marat prepares for the final battle with the pirates. The pirates are convinced that the fog veil cannot be overcome. Hence, they have an excellent chance to attack the base. They don't expect it. As he suggests something so dangerous, the warriors don't move out on Baekmugun's orders. The man told the guy that he shouldn't be so hasty in making decisions. At least, a brother can deal with something they haven't been able to do for years. If he says so, he will. He trusts his judgment. They're moving out. The man said, not him. He hoped so much that he wouldn't make the same mistakes he did. The guy at this point simply remained silent. Seo Ka-ju had already approached somewhere at this moment, and in the moment, he pulled himself out of the water, then got completely out of it. He found himself in a very interesting place that was covered in some crystals. Seo Ka-ju realized that he had arrived at the right place. He was sure that behind that door was what he needed. He even decided to use his powers to open that door. Seo Ka-ju wasn't breathing heavily at this moment. He noticed that the door didn't move at all, so something must be opening it. Seo Ka-ju roughly used the heavenly blast. His power then began to spread throughout this entire dungeon. Seo Ka-ju realized this was it. It was a very interesting system. At that moment, he noticed that something was beginning to happen. Why did he, the heavenly messenger, hide his treasure behind 7 locks with moonlit greed? Seo Ka-ju walked forward at this moment. In front of him was a shield of some sort. Seo Ka-ju decided to move closer to him. Then there was something in some kind of box. The heavenly messenger congratulated him on discovering his divine heritage. The technique described in the heavenly scroll was incredibly powerful. It couldn't be mastered with ordinary martial arts, but he had already proved his worth by passing through the misty veil and opening the cave. The heavenly scroll is here. Nedden is looking for it in the heavenly golden armor. Hopefully, the finder will be able to master the martial technique described in the heavenly scroll and use it. It is one of the concepts that originated in martial arts. It is a scroll created by accumulating the treasured bodies of animals that lived for several 100,000 years and became spiritual objects. Typical animals are turtles, carp, and snakes. It was a powerful artifact, but it's responsible for mental strength, so it wasn't of much value to him. This one might come in handy. Let him not worry. Whatever he left behind he used wisely. Seo Ka-ju put this shield on his arm. It's quite light, but even by feel you can tell that it can't be penetrated easily. Not only ordinary weapons, but also magical blows won't be able to penetrate it. Now, he decided to test the strength of the golden heavenly armor. He began practicing with this shield. Then he caught it. That was great. He could definitely use it. He didn't expect to be memorized by such a powerful artifact at all. He was now fully prepared for the upcoming battle with the pirates. Only his power would be enough to completely destroy them. He has yet to choose. How is he supposed to carry that shield? He couldn't figure out what the hell it was. It was quite convenient. At this point, the male of the team moved forward. Then someone gave some sort of light sign. The guy told him he could see the boat, As it turned out, it was Seo Ka-ju himself. Upon landing on the ship, he said he was just in time. "Sir, it was reported that the Baek family's warriors arrived on his orders." He thanked them for following him. "It's time to put an end to this long struggle. The Red Dragon still apparently hasn't returned." They had recently received the news that Bloodsickle had joined the Red Dragon. The same guy is running out of something, but was trying to find the legacy of the divine messengers. Nothing to worry about. He's the second strongest warrior of the Pirate Islands after him, of course. At that moment, they noticed something. The guy sounded the alarm at this point. The Baek family warriors are advancing. At that moment, their ship crashed into something. They began disembarking from the ship immediately afterward. Then, Seo Ka-ju started running forward. He said he would go ahead and not let him cover him. Then he began to gallop and climb upward. The man couldn't understand how this had happened, how they had managed to overcome the foggy veil and attack. The man said just like that and called him an idiot. Well, that was better. He was sick of these petty skirmishes. Either he would survive or they would. It's time to finally put an end to this. At this point, the battle continued. They need to get out before the warriors get here. He offers him a tail run. How dare he? If he is destined to die here, so be it. But he will not abandon the faction. He has dedicated his entire life to it. This scum who outnumbered all his troops will see his fury, even if it costs them their lives, and let the man disappear. He called him a yellow coward. Of course, the man did not want to die and immediately started running away. The main friend at this point continued to climb up. He was already in the building at that point. In the hands of the newly minted hero was his sword and shield. He literally broke down the wall with himself. That's when he noticed something. It was a man who was ready to attack him at this moment. But Seo Ka-ju had a good reaction. He managed to repel his attack. The man said, "Here he is, the great Baekmugun, and he must be fat gun high." Said it was the end. The man provoked him by calling him a ponytail and told him to give it a try. Seo Ka-ju decided to attack him, but the man was also huge and repelled the attack. At the moment, the man swung around to attack Seo Ka-ju, but Seo Ka-ju easily repelled the attack. He's definitely stronger than Bloodsickle. We need to focus and finish him off faster. The man asked the guy if he thought his hands would work against him. At that moment, the man, surprised, threw out his shield. It hit the man, and the man didn't realize what it was. Of course, Seo Ka-ju used this as a distraction and began to attack. He used a Gram Vortex. The man hadn't expected such a swift attack. The man realized that things were not going according to his plan. He seemed to underestimate the guy a lot. Seo Ka-ju really became stronger at this moment. At this moment, Seo Ka-ju jumped up, and then used a lightning discharge. It was so strong that he flew into the air at that moment. Everyone noticed it right away. The man was no exception. He, too, was very much surprised by this. Seo Ka-ju hovered in the air above the man. The last thing the man managed to say was that Seo Ka-ju was a bastard. Seo Ka-ju was unwavering at this moment. The man said that he was damn strong. However, he wasn't going to die alone. Seo Ka-ju used this moment, the palm of the sea ghost. After that, Seo Ka-ju decided to activate his shield. This caused him to throw the man from himself. Then he decided to use another technique. He used the Heavenly Sword's Gram Strike. A very powerful bolt of lightning struck the man at that moment. The man then landed in one of the buildings. It felt like it was disconnected. There was nothing left at all. Seo Ka-ju thought he wasn't even worthy of saying his last word, so just let it quietly fade from his memory. After a while, they went back in. Of course, they were welcomed by everyone at this point. The girl was very upset or just worried. The man started yelling that they were coming. Everyone exhaled a sigh of relief at that moment. The ship did begin to enter their territory. Of course, everyone there was alive. They were standing. The lad was glad his brother was alive. The girl went forward at this point. She was also very happy that Seo Ka-ju was alive. Evening came. Of course, a feast was thrown in honor of it. The man said they would have a drink. They all helped in the fight against the pirates for the great warriors of the Baek family. They were congratulated on their victory over the Harenban pirates. And of course, Seo Ka-ju of this battle of Mr. Baekmugun. Everyone raised a toast to him. Seo Ka-ju just smiled lightly at this moment. He smiled at everyone. He thanked them all. He would never have been able to win this battle alone. They were the ones who believed in him and, by shedding blood on the battlefield, led them to this victory. The man at this moment was looking out over the unperturbed city. So let us share the glory together and honor those who have fallen in battle. He will not bore them with his long speeches. He said stop talking and better get drunk. After that, they all began to socialize amongst themselves, walking beside him. The men looked at Seo Kaju disdainfully. Surprise, he was probably the only one upset about something at that moment. At that moment, someone was watching them covertly. It was the actual girl. Her gaze was not the kindest. Everyone turned their attention to her when she walked in. She looked gorgeous at that moment. Everyone was really quite surprised. She was stunning that night. The girl then approached Seo Kaju. She congratulated the gentleman on his victory. Seo Kaju, in turn, thanked her. Then the two of them went out onto the balcony. Seo Kaju said she's even prettier. She, on the other hand, had asked him not to say such things. He always says what he thinks. The girl, shyly, said that what he had done was incredible. No one had ever been able to defeat pirates before. He merely brought all their powers together, nothing more. 3 years have passed and he has truly become a different person. Seo Kaju said that he wasn't worthy of her then, so their help wasn't possible either. At this point, the girl fell silent. He may be angry at her, but she betrayed him, but she knows her decision. She doesn't care what anyone thinks of her. When she wanted to make her feelings known, the main character becomes hers. Seo Kaju apologized. He can't reciprocate her feelings. That doesn't mean it's about her. The family's power is now centered in his hands. All eyes are on him. To reinstate an engagement once called off would be too much for the family's reputation. The girl said she didn't care. Neither he nor she should give in to emotion. Unfortunately, with power comes great responsibility. The girl could not say a word. She was crying very hard. She continued to cry, and while they can't be together as much as they'd like to, he has promised her something. The Baek family will always support the Yoon family. It was indeed a very touching moment. The next day the men practiced. It's really impressive. It's just basic physical training. It was still too early for the Baek family warriors to claim to be the best warriors in Wonjo province, to become the best in all of Murima. They need to completely forget their past and start over. But one wants to create an army consisting of only brave and strong-spirited warriors who glorify the Baek family. He was completely right. He'd dreamed of it too, but he didn't think he could pull it off. You should never show your insecurity in the first place, lest you become disappointed in yourself. The Baek family warriors would very soon begin their long journey. What was he talking about? At that moment, the girl appeared. She greeted the Lord Yumi family Yoon. She came to him with an official request. Seo Kaju said he had already heard. On behalf of the Baek family, he accepts her request and will accompany her. The girl, again shy, thanked the gentleman. Then she turned around and walked away. Her brother asked her, will he be an escort? Yes, they will be responsible for the safety of the Yoon family on the way to Nanjing. Asked his brother if he wanted to go with him. The guy confidently and loudly, with a smile on his face, said what he wanted. Of course he'll go with him. He is going to see the Yoon family off on their way to Nanjing. The protagonist said yes, and the best warriors of the Baek family will go with him. He apologized that he couldn't bring him along, but he had too important a role in the changes within the family. The guy said it was okay, since he was the one who assigned him the case. However, there must be a reason why he, with a name like that, wants to accompany his family. Pirates don't threaten anyone else, do they? That's a good question. First of all, there are still pirate groups in the area, such as the Pirates of the Four Seas. He knows such disgruntled influencers in Murima. The Herringbone Pirates are mere child's play compared to them. They had originally planned to join one of the Jujong province morays, Fist of Fury. Now the threat from the pirates is gone. The Baek family can move safely through the sea, so they can't just leave it to the moray eels. Plus, there will be no Mr. Boon this time. They need to show their good intentions. They need to continue to maintain good relations with the Yoon family. But there's something much more important than that. The guy couldn't understand what much more important meant. It's time for the Baek family. This assignment was to go from Wonjo to Murim. Let him return to the Baek residence and get down to business. Let him deliver his words to his father. Together with these notes and nidanos, he's going to have a lot of trouble with his uncle. He'll risk obeying him this time, all for the good of the family. It's time for the family to expand their horizons. At this moment in Jurjong province, Seo Kaju met with a certain Jong Ho. The guy said, has it really been so many years? He'd heard he'd already skated off, but no more expensive. And he's put on a little weight. There you go. It's also all muscle. Anyway, let it hold its shape, and before you know it, it's all gone. Thank heavens his dear friend was returned to him. Seo Ka-ju suggested. It doesn't suit him without these courtesies, they'd better go and have a drink. They went to the establishment. The protagonist thought he'd be needing them forever. It's money thrown in, and it's time. Even some powerful families make ends meet. By the way, has he already gotten under the heel of the beautiful Un family? Seo Ka-ju was a little surprised, for what was he even talking about? He was no slouch. He came running after her, afraid someone would take her away, like a 12-year-old boy. Seo Ka-ju said that he didn't think he and her would make a great couple. Well, why is that what everyone's getting at? Then there is bound to be a pause in the relationship between man and woman. Is this all to increase the Baek family's influence or what? The guy tensed up at this point. Seo Ka-ju, so he doesn't even think about continuing. But he abruptly changed the subject and said he was happy for him in the event. He needs to put the current chapter aside and stand in the head of the Murins himself. He just remained silent. For some reason he felt sad. At this point, evening came. He doesn't have to stand watch with him. That's how he does almost nothing. He can't fight alongside him. So let him be around him at least for now. It helps him with his resourcefulness, so there's no need to compare yourself to others. He's also sorry he can't spend much time with him now. He'll try to fix that in the future. The boy was glad to hear that from his brother. Of course, there was no need to say anything. In fact, that was why he had decided to go to Nanjing. The boy was surprised. He couldn't understand what he meant. It has to do with his talents. He's lucrative. There is a group of people who gather information on warriors and traders from all over Murim. This is Haomun, which includes an organization that collects and analyzes important information. Kanmilgak. If one extracts information that one does not possess, one can stretch in power with the great families. Their headquarters is right here in the city. The purpose of this trip is to enlist their support. So there is such an organization. How is he going to find them and convince them to help them? Seo Ka-ju said he had a couple tricks up his sleeve. He needs to find Kanmilgak to prevent this from becoming a thing. It's only been 30 years since his past life. That means he'll be able to see John Yuhua again. He has something to do with his past life. Nanjing. Unfortunately, they didn't get there without trouble, and he was so looking forward to getting into something. The guy said no. Sure, it's just kind of boring. The problem is that he's always too careless. And also, in contrast, he's more responsible. It was about time for him to come back in a couple days. He was wished good luck. The guy was furious and asked what he said. No big deal. He says he's going to the chicks. Afterward, the guy would immediately tell him to take it with him. And Seo Ka-ju said of course he would. But at the point he crapped on him and said he'd have a go with him. In a moment, Seo Ka-ju really started to get around the girls. In 30 years, Kanmilgak has managed to change the location of the main headquarters. At that moment, Seo Ka-ju noticed someone. And there were some ninjas present on top of them as well. Seo Ka-ju didn't realize what it was. That's when some girl screamed. In front of them were these ninjas. The man told him to just give it to them before it got worse. It was useless to resist. She'd rather die than do that. That leaves them no choice. At this moment, the girl drew her sword. Seo Ka-ju, of course, decided to get in on the action. He hit those ninjas with ease. The girl couldn't figure out what it was or who it was. Seo Ka-ju hoped that at least in this life, he would get some respite. Well, he doesn't seem to be doing so well. The man couldn't figure out what it was, who it even was. Seo Ka-ju said he was just passing by, and that's when he started using the force. The girls were very much surprised when they saw this. The men had a hard time at this point. Seo Ka-ju struck them all in 1 second. Seo Ka-ju gave his hand to Madam and asked if she was okay. Seo Ka-ju apparently recognized this girl. It was actually that John Yuhua. Seo Ka-ju crouched down on his knees at this moment. At that moment, in one of the buildings, they were carried to the woman and laid her down. The waves of his chest asked what had already happened. The traitors poisoned the mistress and attacked the main headquarters. There was definitely a spy among them. So many of their men sacrificed themselves so they could escape. Seo Ka-ju told Madam to calm down. In a moment, Seo Ka-ju started to create something in his hand. He can help her. This is the sign of the god of thunder. Is it really him? She apologized for appearing before him like this. The heir of the thunder god, her name is Tang Seol-yun. She is the youngest mistress of Jiang Milga. The naked hero introduced himself by name. He took care of the lady beauty as if she were a girl from an ancient portrait. Seo Ka-ju was surprised by her beauty. The girl apologized, but this is not the time to admire the young girl's looks. First, Miss Seo Ka-ju can't understand why he's pilling on her like this. Seo Ka-ju approached the woman at that moment. This is the symbol on her forehead that says that the supreme mistress was poisoned by the poison of the purple flower. The girl asked if he could help her, and Seo Kaju said sure, but he needed to concentrate, so let her try not to disturb him. He used the revival of heavenly harmony. The woman began to feel resistance, and really, like it was going to hurt at that moment, but after a while, she calmed down. Seo Kaju said it worked out, but she's still very weak, so please let her be taken care of. The girl thanked the gentleman and said it was not necessary. Let him tell her where the headquarters were now. The girl said, of course, on the outskirts of Nanjing in Chongweru. Well, why does he ask? Seo Kaju said he needed to scout the situation. Is he really going to go alone? It's too dangerous. The Supreme Master is there. Seo Kaju said he didn't care. They're finished anyway. At that moment the man was with some two girls. Seo Kaju got through. Night Ghost Hall. Seo Kaju started to climb up the roof. Then, after a while, he landed on the balcony. So this is the Supreme Master. And these two should be level 1 masters. It would be hard. If only the Supreme Master was here, he would be able to win through a surprise attack, but all three would have to be dealt with. Seo Kaju thought about using the Thunderbird apparition technique. He's not strong enough for that yet. At this point, he was having as much fun as he could. Seo Kaju said he couldn't help. The man was telling the girl not to be shy. Just at that moment a hero burst out to him. His shield was with him, as always, but the man easily repelled the attack. Then Sokaju's own and most Sokaju appeared. The man was very much surprised, certainly not expecting such a sharp and unexpected attack. Seo Kaju used a multicore thunder shot. He then struck a man with lightning. Afterward, the man immediately fell to the floor. Seo Kaju looked at him with disdain and fury at this moment. This technique happens to you. Then the guys came running in and asked, gosh, is he okay? Just at that moment, Seo Kaju saw one of them. Seo Kaju was furious at this moment. He immediately started fighting the other guy. This is Sura's bloody touch technique. Only the Sura clan and the Otherworld God Squad fight in this manner. He thought he'd finished them all off 30 years ago and left not one rotten bastard behind. They ended up resurrecting the squad bastards. Gora realized that the job wasn't over yet. At this moment, the two girls were hiding behind the hero's head. Seo Kaju realized that things were not going well. Seo Kaju said that Mrs. Rouge sent him. Let them not interrupt. She was fine. They couldn't believe if it was true. We can clean up the place first. Hell, we shouldn't have killed everyone, but they'd still be useful. Seo Kaju realized where the bastards were. At that moment, he noticed something. At that moment, a girl appeared. She asked if they were okay. They were happy to see each other. The girl thanked the gentleman and asked if there was any way they could thank her. Let her just say so. Seo Kaju said they could do it right now. Can they feed him? He's going to starve to death. The girl laughed and said she understood. Let him wait a little. How dare he have his mistress cook for him? She cooked. Chanko Yuksa was herb noodles. The girl was telling the gentleman to be more careful. Seo Kaju said it's incredible. Such a beautiful girl, and she cooks masterfully. He's at it again. At that moment, he noticed something. Seo Kaju confessed that he purposely ate slowly to savor her beauty. The girl asked if he always behaved this way with young girls. She thought the heir to the family would be a miser. At that moment a girl came running in. He was informed that the mistress had regained consciousness. Everyone went to her at once. The High Mistress welcomes the heir of the Thunder God. They all owe him their lives. Seo Kaju said that he was merely performing his duties. Even after a few years, she's still just as beautiful. Surprisingly, although his new body has no ties to his previous body, this face reminds him so much of him in his past lives. Even after living 9 lives, meeting another person from the past is still just as hard. Those who attacked the main headquarters are the Sura clan, a squad of otherworld gods. What do you mean a squad of otherworld gods? They used Sura's crab touch technique. There could be no mistake. They were back. This was bad. If the squad had dodged, they were definitely lurking amongst Murim's warriors, waiting for the right moment to attack. Then he'll just wipe them all off the earth along with the residents who harbor them. This is the destiny of the heir of the Thunder God. According to their contract, they won't support them with everything they can. Seo Kaju thanks them. The help will be invaluable. There was something else. The corner of those scum that attacked them today was this locket. Maybe she knows what it is. The woman said that it was a medallion of the Sama family. The family was located in the Yenju Valley and had achieved a certain power in the past 10 years. They have conducted a secret investigation to learn more about them, but their motives and reasons for this rapid growth are still unknown. It is behind the family that a squad of otherworldly gods are behind the family. They have been watching them closely and chose the perfect moment to attack. Everything was clear now. Seo Ka-ju needed to destroy them right now, but let him wait. The Sama family was a strong enough opponent. They couldn't challenge the great families. They shouldn't be underestimated. They need tangible proof that they're not affiliated with the squad. Otherwise, they won't be able to get Murim's support. Seo Ka-ju said that everything was right and he was just rushed. Come to think of it, among the information he had received, there was one incident in their organization involving Sam's family. Maybe with this they can get close to them. At this point some man was asking another man what he was carrying. It was Sama Chunjen, the head of the Sama family. Pisadena destroyed. Everyone sent to Chonmiglak. They confirmed the deaths of all participants. It was a commander named Sama Chunhep. Everyone associated with the organization has disappeared. Not even their Keen is trying to find any leads. The man couldn't understand who dared to do such a thing. Have them find everyone who had anything to do with this organization now. They won't let anyone interfere with their plans. Seo Ka-ju asks if she and the kids are okay. It must be hard to keep up with him. It's okay. She's been studying his art too, after all. But she's not tired at all. She was persistent. He seemed to have completely exhausted her. Seo Ka-ju crouched down on a rock at this moment. He said he was already tired and offered to take a break for a while, but since he's asking for it, it is, after all, the leading estate of the Yakwan family. It is the safest way. Are the Shandong Mountains really as magnificent as they say they are? They are not everywhere for fun, not at all. He is very glad she likes it, since she's the youngest. Without mistress, the organization all the time is usually taken up by Murim. He had almost no opportunity to go beyond it, much less climb the mountains like a frog in a well. That's probably why her heart is beating so frantically. It's even a little embarrassing. Seo Ka-ju was looking for her not to be upset. In the future, she would be able to visit a huge number of places and see many different things. Shandong Chamber of Commerce Chief, Sangwon Jong, you daughter named Sangwon Pak-ha. At the same time, the two families Sama and Wangbo began to talk about an engagement to the lady. There was a problem here. But here the Sama family is the Sura clan. That means they're trying to get financial support from the Chamber of Commerce. Because of the Wanbo family's interference, everything had to be postponed. However, something unforeseen happened. The mistress ran off with another man, which is what she said just now. This man, Mr. Sanu, works as a healer. The Chamber of Commerce supports the healer where he works. Never met Mrs. Sanu. It's a family name, so this Yakwan family member is involved in making various elixirs. That was lucky. He was just thinking of heading towards the Yakwan family. After this organization, everything was now connected by itself, as if someone had set it up like this beforehand. At first, the organization also thought it was the most common thing until they discovered that a squad of otherworldly gods were behind the family. At that time, she thought that this incident could be used to bring Sama's family out into the open. They had done a brilliant job. The lady would not have been able to come to such conclusions. Her life, after all, had just recently been threatened. There was not a drop of fear in her eyes. She was not only intelligent, but also very brave. Seo Ka-ju seriously thought that he would like his little brother to get her one day. The woman was pleased with that. As they're from Kazan, you can't just watch the clan try to get to the family. Does he want to go right now or what? He says you can't run that possibility. They, along with the rest of the organization, need to get out of here. It is best to head to his homeland, Wonjo province. The girl was a little surprised at this answer. The girl said that's what they would do then. She thought she was quite capable of moving the organization alone. But he had one request for him. Could he bring Seol-yeon with him? He hoped that the High Mistress and the true members of the organization were able to escape. Let him not worry. They were specially trained for this kind of situation. She's rather worried that those two might go the other way. You shouldn't, because that's the only other safe way, Mr. Sonu will think of. He was so confident in his words. The gentleman never seems to be afraid of anything. At this point, two people were running very intensely. Seo Ka-ju said they were here. That's what he says. At that moment, Seo Ka-ju came out to greet them. He asked if it was Mr. Sanu and Mrs. Sangwon, ruling him. At this point, the man began to defend his lady. As it turned out, they were being chased at this point. The man said they had nowhere else to run. He turned to the lady and said his name is Wanbo-sung. Not here by order of the family leadership. Please let him go with them. Seo Ka-ju immediately realized that the Wangbo family were scum that had overcome him in his past life. The girl has already taken an oath of loyalty to the Lord. She's not going anywhere with them. There's no point in being stubborn. He told the guys that all they wanted was a mistress and they couldn't do what they wanted. The man decided to approach Seo Ka-ju and the girl. He doesn't know who they are, but he asks them to help him. He will never forget that. Seo Kaju immediately collapsed from his seat at that moment. Naked Games interjected from him. He definitely won't forget that. Well, then he's in. After that, he immediately started dealing with the guys. He was so fast that they didn't even have time to realize what had happened. The man at this moment was also just standing still. Then, Seo Kaju attacked him. The impact was so strong that he flew back several meters. Everyone immediately began to worry about their master. Seo Kaju said that Sampek of the Sama family is in front of them. If they want to die, then let them get out of here. The girl couldn't understand what it was he was saying. It was Seo Kaju who started the report. He wants to beat those bastards to a pulp. But first we need to share them with the Sura clan. The man thanked the gentleman and asked how they could give thanks. But Seo Kaju said it was okay. Well, since they insist, they have one request for them. They both said anything. The girl asked if they could guide them to the Yakwin family's estate. That's why he was getting nervous. Isn't that where it's safe right now? In any case, they have no choice, so suggested they just try to help each other. The man sighed heavily and said he would walk her out. At that moment, the girl winked at Seo Kaju. Seo Kaju looked at her with a smile. The Valley of 1,000 Pines. In one of the buildings, the head of the Yakwon family named Song Woo-pi introduced himself to the protagonist. He said that the owner of this place thanked them for saving his worthless son, the heir of the Thunder God. Thank you, was looking to find that he shouldn't. It's his duty to his family. He said he just wanted to see the world for a bit. Himself in such a mess he's embarrassed to look the guy in the eye. But Seo Kaju said it's okay. But the Wangbo family did not give up so easily, for they had hit their credibility hard. The Sama family, nay, a squad of otherworldly gods, that is worth an apology, will back down from the mistress. They need the financial strength of the Chamber of Commerce. That's right, on the water alone they won't be able to stop them. Seo Kaju told him not to worry, because according to his oath, he will protect the family. But he has one favor to ask of him. The man said it's about divine radiance. He supposes, without any words, they went somewhere. The girl said it really is beautiful here, like heaven on earth. However, do I really have anything to worry about if they get here? The man assured the girl and told her not to worry. The place was guarded for weight. Those who don't know the way will have no way of getting here. But surprisingly, it was at this very moment that there was some sort of crack in this dome. What's going on? The man doesn't know. It's never happened before. Seo Kaju said, the veil collapsing. How does it collapse? How is that possible? How could they know about this place? It is most likely the work of thinkers. They followed them by the scent of mistress. The girl knows he's strong, but even he would be too hard to fight this family alone. It's possible if his strength grows a bit. He had already asked the Lord to craft an elixir that would help him become stronger. The guy said he'd make it in 3 days. Let him have no doubts. He thinks they can make it last. The girl turned to the Lord and said that the veil wouldn't hold for another 3 days. Then they should pick a time. Wanbo Mang was very surprised at this moment from something. Who were they? How were they able to hide in their camp and attack? They're still breathing, but their energy has decayed. He doesn't think they can do anything. Let those bastards do their best to get them back on their feet. And this very might of the Wangbo family. The man was disappointed. How dare he open his mouth? If Sama's family had sent the warriors in time to chase, they would have finished with this by now. This is how he admits that the family can't even handle a single game on their own. He trusted her reputation. That's what came out for it. They weren't prepared for having to clean up after them. She'd already escaped anyway, even though he'd told him so many times that it was impossible. Either way, he doesn't want to ruin their relationship over something like this. And they'll send more thinkers to them. If he wants, he'll send additional warrior squads as well. They are sick over this situation. He doesn't want to be indebted to anyone. Warriors will be enough. Let them channel the thinkers. What an arrogant critic he is after all. He wants to take down those cheeky bastards right now and prove to everyone that the Sura clan is back. But they're not strong enough yet. So what if they attack? They'll hope that all the Wangbo families will be wiped out and then they'll just shift the responsibility to the guy who impersonated a family member. They have to prepare. At this point, the girl sent out a dove. She finished with the message the Lord had asked her to send. At this moment, she was watching Seo Kaju practicing. They never got a chance to talk. She hopes Alexei will be ready in time. At this moment, the man was just in the middle of preparing this elixir, and they said they did. By the end of the day, he wouldn't get the divine radiance. The elixir would already be ready in 3 days as expected. The girl thanked and said she would tell the gentleman, but was clearly not happy about it. The girl asked if he was tired, but beside her he did not know fatigue. The mistress is trying so hard to help the master, and she can't do anything at all for Mr. Baekmugun. It's all she can do right now. It was at this point that she turned her attention to the veil. She ran to the master and he said that it seems the Wangbo family had already found new thinkers. This time it will be much harder to get rid of them, because you will have to fight with military families face to face. He was originally going to start the battle after applying the divine radiance, but it looked like that wasn't going to happen. The girl asked if he was going to fight them alone. The effect of the divine radiance should be enough to win, but they have prepared for the assault in advance. Their forces are very far away. Rushing into this battle alone is too reckless, so she wants to help him too, which she's so worried about, but she can't go there. Seo Ka-ju said it's very obvious. It's going to be a very tough fight, but he's strong. Just let him believe in him. Besides, he won't be alone. His brother kept him informed of recent events. He clearly wanted him to draw his own conclusions and act, though it is populated. This time it has a worthy opponent in the form of the Wanbo family, plus their real enemies are the Sama family. Brother, you're gonna need some help. At that moment, there was a battle going on in the forest. It was Seo Ka-ju, some man at this point. Even two men attacked him at the same time, but Seo Ka-ju was strong and easily repelled their attacks. Then another man decided to attack him. Seo Ka-ju noticed that this guy was strong. The man in the moment of the attack asked how he neglected the Wangbo family. That you can get out of here alive? The power of his punch is truly astounding. He acts very coherently. The family is definitely one of the upper family. However, there was one but. He still has a long way to go before his predecessors, and Seo Ka-ju understood that. At this point, they couldn't understand where their opponent had gone. Did their combined attack not hurt him at all? They couldn't realize that he was on the same level as the three of them. This guy hasn't shown what he can do yet. He had heard that the Pizadan of the family had been destroyed in Chongweru. Was it really him? The gentleman is clearly holding back. The girl realized it was as if he was waiting for something. Seo Ka-ju shouted that enough of these games. They can't hold him back. Let them run and tell the family warriors about it. Do they really think it's worthy of a great family? Persecuting innocent lovers? Do they really not know that the truest enemy is the Sama family? He was purposely impersonating a member of Sama's family to keep them apart. However, this allowed him to realize what their ruse was. Tell him to stop bullshitting. Clearly, in the Wanbo family, brawn over brains. He can't drag this out any longer. At that moment there was some noise in the bushes. He spotted him immediately. One of the men noticed him, too, and right at that moment, he was attacked. Some man showed up and told them to kill everyone. Today, the Wangbo family warriors and the guy who kidnapped the lady will finish each other off. Motherfucker, is that a backup? Seo Ka-ju was looking that it wasn't the Sama family that sent them. Had he still not realized that they were deceiving them? Let him shut up and finish them all off. At this moment, Seo Ka-ju began to defend himself against him. It was also at this moment that he noticed that there was another opponent to his right. Seo Ka-ju realized that he needed to act. At that moment, he noticed something. Let them all stand. They were just being idiots. At that moment, he flipped them all off. The guy realized what he had just. Seo Ka-ju was unwavering at this moment. The guy immediately realized something at that moment. Seo Ka-ju used a divine incident. Was he really the heir? At this point they were immediately welcomed onto the bed. All of them needed to be killed quickly. Let them not let him get away. At that moment, they immediately accepted everything from Seo Ka-ju. But Seo Ka-ju, of course, was no slouch and immediately began to defend himself with his strength. At this moment, they all fell from his attack. Seo Ka-ju immediately began to repel all attacks and attack. His attacks were too fast that the opponents couldn't even do anything about it. They really didn't know how they should fight against such a strong opponent. Seo Ka-ju returned his shield to himself. At this moment, Seo Ka-ju looked at someone. The man couldn't understand what was going on or who this guy even was. At that moment, one of the guys noticed something. What's that glow? Is there Mr. Mugen running around in there? The guy said Mr. Master does. What was he doing with that lightning bolt? They're done here. We need to move out to help the Lord. The man thanked them for their help and asked who they were. They said they were the guardians of Murim's good name. Let him just remember that. Seo Ka-ju was coughing up blood at this moment. The girl realized that the Lord had reached his limit. Seo Ka-ju continued to cough up blood. He noticed that he couldn't even move a finger. After all, he had increased his internal energy due to the divine radiance. Had all the techniques he had used before proved useless? If now, then we need to stop him. Just at that moment, the man began to attack Seo Kaju. But at that moment, a girl appeared and stood right in front of the gentleman. The man stopped in a moment and asked who she was. Seo Kaju was very much surprised when he saw the younger mistress in front of him. The girl said that the lord is not going to fight the Wangbo family, so she asks for them to stop. The man called her a little creature and she said their real enemies are the Sura clan behind the Sama family. Why do they pretend not to know that? Everyone knows that the clan was destroyed years ago by the thunder god, but even if she's telling the truth, he cannot let those who dishonor the Wangbo family live. The girl at this moment prepared to already die and abruptly spurted blood. The man was literally cut in half at this point. Of course, it was none other than Seo Kaju. Seo Kaju turned around with a smile on his face and looked at Madam. He thanked her, at which point he began to fall. The girl managed to catch him after all. She cried at this point. The sound came from over there. There are 2 wounded. Let them run faster. They were Wangbo family warriors. The girl didn't know what to do, whether she could carry him alone. Just then the guy showed up. He greeted the lady and said that they had come to help. The girl thanked. They had gotten her pigeon. Now she had nothing to worry about. And the master is heavier than he looks. Let him hold on tight. In the headquarters of the Wangbo family sat Wangbo Chung. That was the commander. And Wangboing, sent to the Valley of 1,000 Pines. Wangbo men, Wangbo Guan and Wangbo Guan were destroyed. The casualties among the ordinary warriors are also significant. The men didn't realize who could resist. However, it looks like it wasn't the guy posing as a member of Sam's family who killed them. According to the surviving warriors, they were suddenly attacked and then helped by a squad of unidentified warriors. In addition, after examining the bodies of the guys who attacked their warriors, it was discovered that they belonged to the Sama family. Mrs. Sangwon isn't that important to them right now. They need to find that guy as soon as possible, so you're all a member of the Sama family. The first thing to do is to figure out what ties him to the Sama family, what his motives are. He was right, whatever the reason, but it looks like the Sama family has a grudge against the Wanbo family. Whatever it takes, we need to find that guy in the valley. Seo Kaju was lying down at this moment. The girl noticed that he had such a fever, like he was on fire. It's a special technique of the Thunder God. Their organization also has one like it. The main moment began to feel something. He started apologizing to Yua. He will definitely come back to her. He promises her that. The girl at this point tried to address him. Right, the fact that we had her following the organization. She can give it to the master. The girl used the harmony of heavenly thunder. After a while, it was already morning. Seo Kaju woke up and didn't realize where he was. Beside him, he noticed the mistress. Just at that moment, the girl woke up. The girl was glad the master was awake. Seo Kaju thanked her for looking after him. She said she shouldn't. It was the least she could do. So he almost blew it because of his self-confidence. But she said he'd better get some more rest. He said he was fine, but it would be good to get some sleep. So my body felt much lighter, although the chi energy streams were damaged. But his inner strength seemed to have increased. At this point, he decided to get out of bed. Seo Kaju asked if it was the girl who did the effort, and she said yes. She used the internal revival technique given to her by the organization's supreme mistress. She's pretty hard to apply. She did a great job. How do you thank her? The girl got embarrassed and said she had to do it. At this point the guy burst in and said he heard his voice. He was awake. Finally. At this point he caught a rather interesting picture between a girl and a guy. He said he seemed to have a bad time and would come back later. They tried to explain to him what he got wrong today. The Valley of 1,000 Pines. Evacuation preparations are complete. They will depart as soon as they receive orders. Seo Kaju said it was a great job. They are responsible for escorting the Yagwan family to Nanjing. The Baek family fleet stationed in Nanjing will escort them to Wenzhou, where their headquarters is located, only not arriving at the site. They can be located on the slopes of Mount Antong of Xinjiang province. The man said they won't be left in debt. Seo Kaju said it's okay. He can only thank him so much right now. It's just what he needs. Then they said goodbye to everyone. Seo Kaju thanked him for his help, though he didn't have to. Let him tag along. They were friends. Seo Kaju apologized about the case. Come on, he was just bent on idling as usual and happened to be useful to him, no matter if it was the Yakwan family or anyone else. Seo Kaju smirked and looked at him at this moment. He will definitely pay back the debt and wished him good luck on the road. He'll look forward to it. He'll also pay back the interest. At that moment a girl approached him. She listened as he set off alone again. He was on his way to meet with a representative of the Wanbo family. He'll try to convince him to unite the Sama family's resistance, but he doesn't know if he'll succeed. Because of his long ago expression, it would be difficult for him to negotiate. Seo Kaju said it looks like it. At this point, surprised, the girl said she could convince them. He doesn't doubt her abilities, but it could be dangerous, so she'd better head to Nanjing as well. She thanked for the concern, but she is not afraid. She is like a junior mistress of the organization ready to face danger at any moment. That is her purpose. But most of all, she wants to help him, too. Seo Kaju said that there was nothing to be done then. If that's her wish, he'll trust her. The girl was glad he agreed with her. At that moment, a group of people rushed in somewhere. They started searching something. A man shouted to another that the place was empty. Late again or something. Let them go in pursuit. They couldn't have gotten far. The gentleman was then informed that they had found this arrow. The man read for the word ninth. Then they went to some building, then stormed out of it again. So this is him, the ninth rebirth, or whatever his name is? Seo Kaju said they were waiting for him. How dare he attack the Wanbo family? Wasn't it the warriors of the family who first started the conflict? Or was he wrong? Let them not try to bluff. After all, they've already noticed that the Sama family is deceiving them, so they need to stop everything as soon as possible. The man became furious at this point. The girl said that they realize they won't be able to patch things up with the Wanbo family that easily, but they have some pretty serious common enemies right now. She thinks they already know that the people who killed the Wanbo family warriors in the Thousand Pines Valley were members of the Sama family. The man said it was exactly like that. I mean, they've been trying to protect their warriors from them since the beginning. So isn't it time they united against a common enemy? The feud lost their family because of this. If they don't stop the Sama family, or rather the Sura clan, a similar situation could happen again. She doesn't agree with what she says, but it is unknown what their relationship is with Sam's family. They can't trust them so immediately. So what are they going to wait for confirmation from the Sama family? Seo Kaju realized that they were at an impasse. The girl suggested doing this. They would take on a squad of assassins, find out who they really were. Then they could trust them. Murder squad? What's she talking about? How will they be able to? She realizes that gaining their trust isn't easy. Therefore, she will become a hostage of the Wangbo family. Seo Kaju was very surprised from what she said. He didn't understand what she was talking about. How was that even possible? The man said they didn't need any hostages. They just had to trust them. The girl asked the guy, or does he see? Because she told him. Anyway, next time have him warn her in advance. He was really scared for her. The girl was very shy and asked again, or he was scared. Nanjing, Sokaju Square. Members of the organization are bound to show up here too. I don't know. Grab them. Idiots. His reckless actions could go to waste if he failed, and this time the punishment would be to the full extent of the clan's law. He needs to catch the girl, this guy who volunteered for the clan lord. If he can't, he's screwed. Just at that moment, he noticed Seo Kaju with a girl. It's the junior mistress of the organization. The man realized that here they were caught. Right at that moment, Seo Kaju and the girl were heading somewhere. They continued on their way. As it turned out, they were being followed by warriors at that moment. At the point they started attacking, the man said for everyone to remember, he needed them alive. They were the first to attack the girl. In a moment, Seo Kaju started to use his abilities to keep from grabbing the girl so easily. The man couldn't figure out what else it was. Seo Kaju, of course, had anticipated this attack and was completely undeterred. He asked who they had here. They need to catch them so it doesn't become. Seo Kaju, of course, was much stronger than all of them. He was scattering 5 warriors in 1 second. The man remarked that he was just a monster. As they began to run away, the man in charge asked where they were going, and at one point he hit them with his shield. He didn't let the man who was in charge of it all escape. Seo Kaju said that he had gotten a great gift for the Wangbo family. They what? Horrors. Quite then suddenly go to another country, and then come back surrounded and incomprehensibly ask someone to lend him a ship to get to Wenzhou, and they also ask for a cart to transport full of strangers. He always manages to surprise her. Seo Kaju laughed and apologized to her. She is, of course, always willing to help him. He happened to think that by bringing the maiden to her opinion of Keen, he might shake their alliance. The main character said that he is doing his best for the Baek family, and anything that leads to the benefit of the family will also benefit the Yun family. Besides, junior mistress, she's not just a kind, but a very important person to him, and she's been by his side all this time, helping him a lot. He apologizes to his mistress for his unwise behavior, but let him understand that everything he does is for the good of their families. Only for the sake of their families, she would allocate him a ship, do everything he asked. He thanked her for it. However, there was one but. In the future, she would like him to initiate her into his plans ahead of time. The girl was very much in favor. Seo Ka-ju was apologizing while speaking, and she had to listen to it all for him. It's okay. It's not the first time she's been mistaken for kind. Besides, mistress has definite feelings for him, and it's no wonder she was jealous. If it were her, she'd be pissed off as well. At that moment, the girl realized she had said it out loud. She laughed and said he made her laugh. She makes it sound like she's his girlfriend too. That's when her brain exploded. Seo Ka-ju apologized and said his jokes went too far. At that moment, something began to happen. However, he was not lying when he said that she was a dear person to him. He expects that she will continue to be able to help him in everything he does, and he, in turn, will repay her in kind. The girl said that of course she would do her best to help him. Seo Ka-ju began to train. He made every effort to help him. Why does he think about her all day long? Even after living so many lives, he still couldn't stay away from human passions, even though he has no feelings for her. Now is not the time to think about it. We need to focus on training and getting stronger. And for that, he needs maximum concentration. That's the only way he'll be able to revive all his prowess. In the end, that asshole blew it. Now a full-scale war with the Wangbo family cannot be avoided. Let Surakom-chan and Suradu-chan come here. At this point, a bound man was shown. The protagonist said, here comes the gift as he promised. The man was surprised at this guy. The main character asked, so are they going to attack Sama's family together, or are they going to act as agreed? He's gotten so much stronger in such a short time. How did he do it? The guy asked the girl if she was worried about his brother. She noticed the younger gentleman. He told her to call him Myuk. He said he was worried too, but had faith in his brother. He always manages to exceed his expectations. She has already helped him enough. Now let him go to Nanjing. He will surely crush the Sura clan and return. She believes him. The guy said she would teach him until his brother returned and hoped she could live up to his expectations. The girl was not very happy on the ship at this point. Then she went somewhere else. What happened? The Wangbo family sent a warning to the Sama family. The Sama family is definitely acting in concert with evil. They are talking about the Sura clan of the Otherworld squad. The Sama family should be punished for this. How dare they threaten them so openly? Great, then they won't fight back and they'll answer for everything. At that moment, some people were attacking others. They couldn't figure out who the creeps were. Then, in fact, blood was spilled. They were attacked. The Sama family bastards attacked their warriors. Did they attack first? Even a rat bites a cat in fear. Don't panic, their forces are enough to counter them. Certainly the catches. However, the fact that they attacked first may mean they are stalling and want to prepare retreat routes for the leaders. The waves think they should attack their base. He thought about it too. All set. Plus, there's someone else willing to help them, the Sama family headquarters. He managed to quickly surround their base. Plus he's helping them. They are assisted by the Namgung family, and there were warriors of this family by their side. Moreover, they were joined by one of the strongest warriors of the family. They thanked him for his help. The man said they were only doing their duty to Murim. I don't know if you can really trust a person using a fake name. Seo Ka-ju apologizes. What proud lovebirds. Now is not the time for that. He had been tracking the squad for quite some time. Let him perhaps realize that there was no way he could reveal his identity in this situation. There's nothing to be done now. We'll have to trust him. Seo Ka-ju thanked. It's not a good time. You have to be patient. But he will reveal himself soon and they will pay for it. Yeah, who is this guy? Young but already has relative power. We need to take a closer look. But first they need to deal with Sam's family. When will they launch a full-fledged attack? When midnight comes, they attack. They were attacked. It was Sam's family. At this moment, two strong men emerged from the ashes. They were Sura Du-jong and Sura Kom-jong. One of them told everyone to go on the attack. It really was a massive battle. They attacked first. How could they do such a reckless act? It's just another trick. They are deliberately trying to distract them so the leadership can escape. Seo Ka-ju said to hurry. They can't miss them, but let him wait. Seo Ka-ju used the thunder god's footsteps. The two men were surprised by this. They have to help. At this moment, Seo Ka-ju sprang into action. They were telling them to stop them. Seo Kaju started using the thunder god's eyes, and people at this point began to step on them. The battle continued. Seo Kaju told me to cover for him, and at that point he started using some kind of technique. Then there was an explosion. As it turned out, Seo Kaju went down under the building. He noticed and realized that they had even prepared that one. They thought they could escape so easily. Oh, no, wrong guy. At that moment, someone was boating right through these tunnels. No sign of pursuit. Everything's going according to plan. At that moment, the man noticed something. He saw Seo Kaju who was on a shield approaching them. Literally a second later, he jumped into the air, and then landed right on their ship. Seo Kaju said, "Here come the rats. They're definitely finished now." They were all watching and looking at him at that moment. Who's he to get in their way? Seo Kaju defiantly asked who he was. He said it was his job to destroy trash like them. The man asked how dare he say that, calling him a nameless bastard, said the one who hid his face under a mask of vicious charms. And at that moment, the man smiled evilly at him. At this point, he began to use his powers. Why has unraveled the Sura clan's reverse magic. It was a Sura blood guardian named Weejonic. The bastard's exposed. We need to kill him. Have them move forward. One of the men immediately went on the attack. The second one also began to attack him. Seo Kaju will have to fight two opponents at once. Seo Kaju said those were his words. And at that moment, there was an explosion on the boat. Seo Kaju decided to use the coming of the thunder god. The man realized that he was a goddamn thunder god. You guessed it. Now let him die. Just at that moment, Seo Kaju started attacking the man. His movements were very fast and precise. How that was even possible, they didn't understand. At this point, one of them started to circle him. Even though they had Sura Dujong with them, they couldn't budge. Seo Kaju was unwavering at this moment. At this point, he was using a really strong technique. The blood bearer himself had not expected such strength. He called them useless pieces of shit and used Sur's bloody blade. Of course, Seo Kaju immediately realized that he was using blood magic. At that point, the man began to attack him. Seo Kaju had a very strong shield and was able to repel the attack. The man clearly didn't expect it to be so easy for him. At that moment, a force grabbed the man. He used Sura's consuming fire. At this moment, Seo Kaju decided to use his shield once more. He decided to use moonlight, and the man at this moment used the immortality of Sura's blood. Seo Kaju continued the battle and stood firmly on his feet. The man used the immortal blood of Sura. He called the guy a bastard and attacked him. Let him not look down on the keeper of the blood. Seo Kaju began to repel this attack. He is superior to all past opponents. The man said the next blows would be decisive. He used the 40 ways of Sura. Seo Kaju noticed that the men were falling under the influence of his power. Then Seo Kaju began to climb up. Then he found himself on top, ready to use his power. He was ready to attack directly from the air. He used the thunder path of light, and also used the thunder god's smashing light blade. The man said he was just a monster. Then, Seo Kaju moved as close to the man as possible and used the moonlight of the heavens. He managed to attack the man. The man asked if he thought he was going to die alone and used Sur's bloody cannon. It was as if Seo Kaju wasn't surprised at all. The man asked again if he thought he was going to die alone and used Sur's bloody cannon. It was as if Seo Kaju wasn't surprised at all. Surprisingly, at this moment, the expression on the guy's face changed. Let him go to the other world with the blood magic. Let him know. The 9 squads of the god of the netherworld will be eternal. Seo Kaju said that he can freak out all he wants. It won't change anything. He and all 9 squads are nothing more than trash. He will wipe them off the face of the earth. Seo Kaju began to use even more of his powers. At this moment, the man was quite surprised by his striking technique and strength. The last thing he had time to say was that 9 squad. At this point, he began to fade away. After this attack, Seo Kaju fell off his feet. Then the wrecked ship was moored somewhere. This was noticed by the girl on the horse. As she got closer, she saw Seo Kaju lying down. A great many people were lying on the ground at this point. Some man ran up and said there were no survivors. Had they found the head of Sam's family? But he said not yet. At that moment, some man shouted that they had found the head of Sam's family. Apparently he was trying to escape on the ship. Maybe there was a fire. The condition of the body is perfect. The bodies of the warriors who attacked them in the forest have the same marks. It's the work of the 9th rebirth, he just said. I think, indeed, he single-handedly took down the squad. Then where did it go? Maybe the head decided to take its own way out. It's not an easy thing to endure. If he survived, then Murim is in real trouble. At this point, he was already awake. He actually lost consciousness and couldn't figure out where he was. At that moment, the girl noticed that Seo Kaju had woken up, and she thought the current had brought the body. On the face of it, he seems fine and dandy. At that moment, she held out the fish to Seo Kaju. The girl asked he must be hungry and Seo Kaju thanked the food. The fry was good, so it must be good. So how did he end up in a wrecked ship? A traveling sword. That was unusual. Seo Kaju turned his attention to her sword. Maybe she was from the Bota clan. The clan is made up of only swords, many of them quite brave. The clan is rumored to have a tradition of going on trips around the country. The girl asked what was the matter. She gave him an embarrassed look. After all, it's not every day you get to see a swordswoman. Anyway, this girl is very unusual. He thanks her for her help. She saved his life. He must repay. Let him forget. Must help those in need. Let him call her Seo Unwa. Whether he wants to repay. Let him call his name. His name is Baekmugun. He didn't mean to sound arrogant. If the name is called, then manners are in place. Besides, it's obvious he's not the same age, so why be nice? The girl handed Seo Kaju his clothes. Fate itself brought them together. How about becoming friends? Seo Kaju was embarrassed at this moment. Being friends with such an amazing girl was an honor. She was a busy girl. The girl couldn't figure out if he was older by chance. But Seo Kaju shouted that they were the same age. He didn't really put it together. They are heading towards Hangzhou, which he is planning, but he doesn't even know. The two families will decide for themselves whether he needs stitches to return to Wenzhou by ship. Then he will go with the girl. Just at that moment, someone began to approach them. They were indeed approaching, something fast, and had no plans to stop. Shit, they followed, and the guy was from the 5th Black Warrior Squad. Seo Kaju asked if she knew them. She hit him the other day, but she hit him and ran away, and he found her again. The Black Warriors are some of Shaoxing's most powerful units. A guy from Squad 5 chasing a girl. What a bastardization. Black Warriors, 5th Squad Young Sochu. The guy told the girl he was looking for her. Last time he had been very drunk and committed an unforgivable act. So he came to her with all the squad rules. By all rights, to be chased by a mob. Let her go with it. So let them agree. Let her forgive his ignorance. If he refuses, he'll have to take responsibility. She's against cruelty. What an asshole. Bringing the whole squad to threaten her. Is this decent behavior for warriors of Squad 5? Or does she want nothing to do with such shameless men? He was going to be condescending. Let her wait. Here to teach her manners. Seo Kaju decided to intervene at this moment as well. To his surprise, the girl stopped him abruptly with her hand. She said she could handle this guy. The guy at this point went into a rage. He started attacking her. The bastard. The girl immediately began to approach. The guy didn't expect such a sudden move. The girl immediately attacked him at this moment. The guy couldn't stand on his feet and fell. Everyone was immediately surprised that the commander had succumbed to this girl so easily. They, of course, began to approach the girl in a rage. Now they've decided to attack in droves. They've all lost their conscience. Mercenaries don't have a conscience. Seo Kaju easily repelled them all with a single punch. They all immediately fell to the ground. Seo Kaju asked, "Or are they even now?" The girl realized he was a warrior, and she took him for a rich gentleman. He's so handsome he'd take it as a compliment. We need to deal with them and get out what he's up to. He knows the kind. Mercy, once in a lifetime you can't get rid of them. But the girl started to stop him abruptly. He's not a judge to take the lives of losers. But he wasn't just an outlaw, a special forces commander. Let him think about how long he would chase her. Maybe killing people was wrong too. Even this scoundrel should be given a chance to reform. Should have guessed. It's just like they said. It's not like the Bota clan is the only one who swears. How on earth did he guess that she was from this clan? It's not often that you meet a lone swordswoman in the country. It's clear at a glance. The girl apologized, but she couldn't reveal herself. There was nothing to apologize for. Seo Kaju said that he didn't tell a lot of things about himself either. But most importantly, how long will she be chilling? I thought she was headed to Hangzhou. The girl immediately felt at that moment. Let her keep up. She won't wait. But Seo Kaju said they'll still see who's faster. A short time later, they arrived at the site. At this point, they began to fight amongst themselves. The girl bounced back at that moment, and then she attacked again. Definitely the style of the Bota clan. Fast and agile, yet graceful. Seo Kaju was very quick to reflect her blows. Forging her, the girl was beautiful in the moment of battle. Seo Kaju was admiring her at this moment. That's how. So he's the Mr. Baek family of Wonjo. What made the principal leave the family nest? There's a lot of stuff piling up. The girl said she'd be fine. And where is it seen that a girl pours for a strange man? But does she look like a normal girl? Plus, in the country, she wants to try everything she's never had the chance to do before. Then she must try alcohol she can't find anywhere else. At this point, they didn't cringe. The girl clearly didn't like the nasty flavor, but once she's tasted it, she'll get used to it. At that moment, the girl noticed someone approaching them. The guy asking the commander, or were they the ones who embarrassed him, was No Gunson's swift cleaver. The commander's business doesn't interest him. However, he can't get past this creep. The commander said let him do what he wants. Let Seo Kaju help him. The girl told the guy that he was right. It's useless to pity such people. He said, to the hunchbacked man you can fix his grave. Seo Kaju, he says, was looking for it. He said he'd take care of it, and immediately started attacking this big guy. He didn't realize what the hell it was himself. The girl immediately started attacking the others as well. Her movements were graceful and commanding. She was so fast that no one even had time to react. At that moment, the girl rose into the air. She then landed and attacked the commander in a moment. The guy was very much surprised that she had hurt the commander's feelings. The protagonist realized that he had found time to be distracted, and immediately in the moment, of course, attacked the guy. For Seo Kaju, it wasn't an opponent at all. At that moment, someone shouted at the ship for his protection. The boy was surprised that the girl defeated the commander so easily. Seo Kaju said he found time to be distracted, and right at that moment attacked him. It wasn't an opponent for him at all. The commander told them to be damned and called them lowlifes. The girl was hurt, for she had given him a chance. The guy started to apologize. He prayed that he would have mercy on him. He wouldn't harass her anymore. There's definitely not going to be a second chance. She hopes he goes to heaven. Surprisingly, at that moment, someone prevented her from delivering that blow. It was Seo Kaju. Of course, the girl was very much surprised by this. Seo Kaju calmly told her to leave him alone. The girl couldn't figure out what he was talking about, or if he was suggesting letting him go again. What's more, he wishes he'd dealt with him sooner. He is the commander of the Black Warrior Squad if he kills him. Don't let him get his hands dirty with that scumbag's blood. The girl agreed with him and thanked him. They walked until there was a commotion here. What was that fluttering in his chest at the sight of Mugen? My heart is pounding like crazy, but I've never experienced anything like it. At that moment they were passing by a very beautiful place. The girl marveled at how beautiful the view was. Indeed, people did not lie. It is really beautiful here. As the saying goes, while looking at the mountains, I did not notice how the years flew by. Seo Kaju asked her, is it possible to look away from her beauty? Is this some kind of joke on her? In her native land she had dreamed not boldly of such scenery, though she knew it was a joke. But whence the flutter in her breast? He'd heard that kind of thing before. Let him gain more experience while traveling the country. A chance like this is rarely given. The girl said you can see the finger. He's thinking about someone else. The girl asked if it was a woman. Seo Kaju said that's right. She's also beautiful and she doesn't think about his feelings at all. The girl asked with a disgruntled face if she was his lover. The main character said he would say that. He would like to admire the scenery with her. The girl was upset at this point. Then it started to rain, and they started looking for some shelter to hide from the rain. The girl is soaked to the skin. Let her undress or she'll catch cold. The girl called him a filthy animal. Seo Kaju asked if she was going to walk around in the wet. Don't let her worry. He'll come back and show her what to do. She must have lost her mind. Seo Kaju is a man after all. There's no way he wouldn't be tempted. Her heart was about to jump out of her chest. Still, it's worth thinking about. The girl started to undress after all. She said the hero was different from other men, and he wondered what it was. All of Murim's men are a disappointment, but she's never found a mate. They didn't take her seriously. They tried to take advantage of her. She was already thinking of just going back to the clan. But in that moment, she met him. He's stronger than anyone she knows, says what he thinks of her, plus he cares for her. Seo Kaju decided to approach her. That woman who occupied his thoughts. Was he going to marry her? Seo Kaju said they are not in that relationship. The girl said it was a great relief. Seo Kaju simply remained silent at this point. When she hugged him, he didn't realize what it was. She couldn't take it anymore and confessed to the guy that she liked him. He was the first one who awakened feelings in her. Her heart was tearing out of her chest, but she didn't understand anything. She can't take away that heat in her heart. It won't listen to her. Seo Kaju asked what the wife should do. The girl said he should give her a hug. At this point, the girl went out on the balcony. She gets a report from a guy about Mr. Baekmugun's whereabouts. Still set, it was clear to the girl. Have him report anything he finds out to her. The girl was really worried about the Lord at this moment. Seo Kaju and the girl were lying together in an embrace at this moment. Even after so many lives lived, he couldn't control the urge. The girl was the initiator, but he didn't stop her. For some reason he feels guilty about the other girl. Because of that moment, she asked if Seo Kaju was thinking about someone else. Seo Kaju was surprised that she was awake, and with a disgruntled face asked if he was thinking of another when she was around. She was right. He apologized. The girl laughed at this point, and just at that moment, she hugged him. She asked for another hug. There's not a girl in the world like her. After a while, they were ready to head onward, and set off a few minutes later. They practiced together in the field. They also rode horses together. Hangzhou. So that's what it is. What a lot of people here. By the way, what's her business in town? The clan will never leave their own penniless Xinhua Bank in Hangzhou. She needs to get her spending money, and she heard they can be picked up here. He should have looked into his past savings. Its finances are scattered in banks across the continent, Xinhua Bank being just one of them. I'll have to shell out some money to get information on the affairs of the Yakwan and Konmilgak families. The girl said she had the money. How long had he waited? For the first time holding such an amount of money in her hands. Today will not sleep at a good inn. Seo Kaju began to argue and said that as she says, he feels bad about ripping off his benefactress, so he pays. Why should she have plenty of money? Seo Kaju said he came with an old deposit. Yes, she has more than 100 yang. Let her not dare to refuse. Let him take this as proof. The gold seal. It was given to guests who posted over 100,000, and even decades ago. How much is he willing to take off? We had 200,000 yuan left. He said not to give everything in interest on the 30 years accumulated. Some man was agitated. It was the owner of Xinhua Bank, Zhang Henson. He told his brother they were in trouble. Here is a troublemaker. Someone pulls out. It is not the time to play with money. There was a disaster. His brother was Hangzhou Gold Manet, Chang Henchal. He came for the 200,000 they left 30 years ago, and is demanding interest. How is that even possible? His gold seal is not fake. Only the interest is 30,000, together 500,000. Even possessing all the gold of the city, they would suffer huge losses on top of that. Interest is greater than the amount deposited. Unfair. Below, no landowners will be landowners. That's right. What can they do? They can try to push back the date. Let him wait. He hasn't figured it out yet. What's the need to pay a dead man? Is he really suggesting that he just eliminate it? It's worth entrusting it to the matchmaker and the Mu family. He'll handle it himself. Let him continue to follow him. The girl was having lunch with her boyfriend at this point. The girl said it was delicious. Does she agree that this place has the best food in town? That too, but there was one but. Food tastes better when a loved one is around. Seo Kaju smiled and said that vodka. What he was going to do. There's a lot to see here. He thinks he'll be here for a while. Seo Kaju understood. She would stay for a couple days until he got paid. Arrange a tour of the city or not. Today's tour. Except he's gonna leave. How do you get money or what? Seo Kaju looked for he should return home to Wenzhou. Everyone was already waiting. The girl had something she wanted to tell him. At that moment, someone appeared in front of them. Wow, right at lads for eyes. Not only let him look at this sweet couple, it made him sick. So, is this bully still falling down on steam or what? The girl said there weren't two of them here at all. It was worth guessing. The peddlers from the bank only like to receive, and how to pay. It is better to kill. The girl cannot understand, or it's all because they do not want to pay. Let them watch him mumble to himself for some pennies. Those who devalue human life appear. At that moment, their swords broke. They were very much surprised at this turn of events. Of course, it was a matter of Seo Kaju and the girl. Seo Kaju only said the girl's name. She understood everything. At this moment, Seo Kaju rose into the air. The girl went after him. Surprisingly, they started running across the rooftops. What a crazy woman. Let them set off in pursuit. They must not let them go. What a job my brother-in-law gave me. At this point they set off all in pursuit. There really were a lot more of them. Seo Kaju again only said the name to the girl. She understood everything. Then they started to swerve or land somewhere. And in a moment they landed and stopped. They were ready to fight their opponents. The guy said things weren't going well, because this couple was strong. Let them head out in pursuit and don't let them get lost. They didn't even pick on it. Money is a scary force. Seo Kaju looked up from going back to the inn for weapons. Understand why he needs a gun. Below are just small bipods. They're bare-handed with him. Let her beware. Since it was at this point that the man attacked her. At that moment, Seo Kaju used his powers to save the girl. Of course he succeeded. He easily repelled this pro's attack. Seo Kaju asked if she was okay. She thanked him for it. Let her not be so careless. These guys aren't just hobos. At that point, they headed into the building. They immediately began to surround them. They've surrounded the buildings and the rats won't get through. Don't let them relax. The enemy is not an easy one. There is a very simple way to smoke a rat. The man told them to set the house on fire. The girl said she wasn't going to burn down the whole inn, so there's no way out. So how much did they get paid? He said that the innocent cannot be allowed to suffer. They are leaving. Their ringleader looks strong. He'll deal with him, and the others are on her. He wants to say that she's uneven to him, which is why she's left with all kinds of garbage, but that's not what he meant at all. She's a clan warrior. He thinks it's impossible to defeat him, but Seo Kaju tried to stop him. Just at that moment, she began to attack them. The guy realized the girl was finally caught. Just at that moment, she was ready to attack. Guy thought it was very good luck that she had come out to them on her own. And in the moment, he took her for a ride. At that moment, the girl landed on the ground. Right at that moment, others began attacking her from the air. Basically, she attacked them with ease. She is very much mistaken. They are all worthy opponents. Who would have thought a woman would attack first? That's courage. The girl had really underestimated them a lot. She realized she could not dodge this attack. Then they'll grab her first. Just at that moment, Seo Kaju decided to intervene. His shield prevented the guy from attacking the girl, and then his sword shattered. The girl just closed her eyes and ears at this point. Then she decided to open her eyes after all and see what was going on. At that moment, she noticed Seo Kaju. Everyone was very much surprised at how strong the guy was. He had everyone sorted out in seconds, and Seo Kaju countered. The girl is fine. She apologized but said it was okay, and she acted recklessly and let her forget and not think about it. The guy realized that they were no adversaries to him, and right after he realized it, he said they surrendered and fell to their knees. Seo Kaju said that judging from the style, they belonged to the Baek swordsman clan. The man couldn't understand how he realized it. Beggars are willing to devalue even human life for the sake of money. A lot of people in town have a reason to go after him, but if he and his warriors are on the road of life, let him say who ordered him to attack. At this point, the man was in bed and asleep. Someone approached him and said he was asking for a moment of attention. The man couldn't figure out who was bothering so late. On that color wanted or what? Just at that moment, Seo Kaju broke down the door with his foot. So it's him, the owner of Shinhwa Bank. With Kaju, she seems to have a lot to talk about. The man at this point was in a sort of anxious state. Seo Kaju said that this guy put it all out in the open. Said the errand was given by a cheapskate who would prefer death to paying his bills. Well, then there's no talk of his adored money. Who knew he was so strong? For starters, he apologizes to him sincerely on behalf of Shinhwa Bank. Well, Seo Kaju said he wasn't interested in his apology. They'll move on to the money. The deposit with interest is 500,000. He will definitely pay everything as well as compensation for the inconvenience. So he will give him whatever he wants. Of course there is a limit. He will fulfill any request within limits. Then he's expecting compensation of 500,000. That's how much he values his life. 500,000. Already his 500,000 deposit alone will greatly favor the bank. So how do they handle it? Seo Kaju became furious and told the man that he seemed to misunderstand him. He wasn't offering him a deal. The man at this point was very badly frightened. If he wants to, he'll flatten the bank overnight. He offers him to negotiate. I'm gonna have to put him in his place. He's not kidding around if he's really in a pinch. Yes, he knows everything, but he'll go bust if he pays out 1 million. There was no need to wake a sleeping beast. At that moment, the girl stopped him. He'll end up killing people for money just the same. Or does he want to be like them? Seo Kaju only realized this after the girl's words. He then said he knew what he was going to say to that. He could have wiped them into powder, but a noble warrior would not allow blood to be spilled in vain, so he will show mercy and answer their plea. The man began to thank the gentleman at this point. However, they should repay him for his trust, but let them blame themselves, or else he thanked him for it. The girl was satisfied that she was able to talk Seo Kaju into it. Night had fallen, and Seo Kaju was sitting near the window at this moment. He didn't mean to do that. He just wanted to scare me, but he really is capable of it. That's why she was worried. After all, he's stronger than anyone she's ever met. All she has to go on are words. Seo Ka-ju apologized for making her worry, but he, as a warrior, would live a respectable family, not allowing himself to commit such a controversial act. Seo Ka-ju could understand. It sounded convincing. The girl said she believed him. The girl asked if he would go back home now. Seo Ka-ju said yes, there's nothing else for him to do anywhere. The girl was thinking. She wants to go with him. The girl asked permission if she could do it. Seo Ka-ju looked at her with a smile at this moment. Seo Ka-ju asked, could he say no? The girl wondered if they would go by ship and not be able to drive a wagon filled to the brim with silver. Definitely. There should be a big ship to town here. Seo Ka-ju changed and wanted to address some man. He said they were looking for a ship to Wonjo. He could get his name. Seo Ka-ju said his name was Baekmugun. Here, told the gentleman they were waiting for him. There is a ship booked in his name, but he can sail at any time. A huge merchant ship. So who did it? Seo Ka-ju asked who had booked him. The man said the heiress of the Yun family. Wonjo, Yanggak, Flower Garden. The girl reported that the gentleman had boarded a ship. He would be arriving in the city in a couple of days. The girl said it was good. They didn't leave the ship for nothing. She had wanted to ask her a question for a long time. What was it already? She always wondered why she shared information with her. She is only passing words for the Lord. Kine is not supposed to join the ship. Let her stop lying. She is not blind and can guess that she is far from a simple kind. But she doesn't care about that. She's interested in other things. Why is she giving him a chance to please the master? Don't even let her think about making excuses. She knows she's pining for him. Something to pay for. The gentleman sweetly addresses her request. She has the ability to support him. She's a great fit for him. It pleased her to think so. She apologizes. Apparently she was wrong about her. She really does genuinely care for the Lord. However, she had misunderstood her as well. The gentleman had been done with her long ago. She was content. Despite her astounding talent for extracting information, she will give her advice. Let her be more honest. And at that moment, the girl left. The girl was frustrated at this point. There's only a master in her heart. It really disappointed her. At this moment, everyone was already awaiting the arrival of the Lord. They all waited with a smile on their faces for his coming. The brother, of course, was glad that his brother was finally back. He was looking forward to this moment. There is so much I want to tell him and listen to what he has to say. At this moment, Seo Ka-ju girl came downstairs. Everyone welcomed the gentleman back. Seo Ka-ju said he's been out of town for a long time. The brother was the first to jump out to the guy. Seo Ka-ju asked his father if he was feeling well. Enough about him to see him in good health. He's all grown up now, and he still worries as well. He's always a child to his parents. By the way, where's Mook? He told his brother he was expecting him. Of course he's not without him. He's back. He's happy he's okay. He was so worried. He apologized. His fault for not writing. Looks at him and can't get excited. It's okay. He's been busy. The guy they have is busy too. He's been assigned the organization's business. He's already started work. Unbelievable. That's his brother right there. He couldn't have done it without Mistress' help. Does he really not want to meet his brother, or what? Doing no coup. Young master, better let him walk in his stead. He has so much to tell his brother. The guy said he had to, and kind of help. The mistress made the organization. Are they running away already or what? Seo Ka-ju looked at him with a smile. While he was gone, the kid matured. His father is proud of him. His son has finally found his way. But it still hurts. His little innocent boyfriend is there now. He understands how he feels. But besides that, Seo Ka-ju asked where he had looked for such a beauty. He'll think it's fate. That's his son, and he's having an affair. Neither the elder nor the younger gentleman is welcome. Seo Ka-ju says they are great. At the training session they were all selected at his direction, all thanks to his guidance. Seo Ka-ju said to let the girl rest. He still had business with his father. The girl didn't argue. Father said he would also rest with his girlfriend. Is he not tired? It's okay. There are more important things. He's waiting for his father's guidance. The man began to forge it. He then used a kaleidoscopic blade. Seo Ka-ju also got defensive. Seo Ka-ju then rose straight up into the air. The heavenly moonlight blade was used by Seo Ka-ju. The man was ready to defend himself as well. The protagonist began to attack. At that point, the man became defensive, and then there was an explosion. But to his surprise, the man stayed on his feet. Seo Ka-ju was also on his feet and asked his father if he wanted to continue. But the man says enough is enough, admits he lost, and Seo Ka-ju apologizes. He thought he had become stronger, but in comparison he was just treading water. No, it was just because of someone that his strength had increased. The man asked if he knew about the Yakwan family. Nuke told him everything. In the future, Baek and Yakwan families need to strengthen ties. This will lead to huge expenses, so what will they do? Luck and past rebirths of the Thunder God took care of the savings. He will use them. It will bring them closer to family and organization. It surprises him. Their swordsman will have a hard time with what he's going to do next. Seo Kaju asked about the reactions to the gods' famous rituals in the netherworld. They reappeared. The Nine-God Squad, that evil gang, is back, and he doesn't even believe it. They almost defeated the god and thunder in the past. If they are not stopped, Murim will drown in blood. In order to counter the units, they must increase the power of their swordsmen. A speech of strength surpassing the 7 supreme families. Ambition is at play in him, but the family will have a hard time dealing with the squads on their own. Seo Kaju said he wants to make the family a leader among the Chalgan clans and unite forces. Dad thought it sounded like a fairy tale, though he could do it. The man said he was doing what he thought was right and would support him in everything, and Seo Kaju thanked him for that. He asked who the girl was his companion. She's from the Boda clan. They met for a reason. Feelings flared between them. He promised to marry her. Seo Kaju says it's nothing like that, but he's sincere with her. He really wants to choose his own bride. Seo Kaju asked if she was tired. She said not a bit. It's very cozy here. Then if she didn't want to take a walk, he would show her around the city. The girl said she wanted to see the place where he lived. The couple then went for a walk. The girl was very surprised at how beautiful the city was. Then when the food arrived, she was surprised. It was delicious. The girl immediately began to eat. Then they went for a walk in the woods. And then they came out to a building of some sort. They approached the people. He was just something. All of a sudden, he won the hearts of so many people. It's clear as day. To His Highness he's the only hero. So what does that mean? The girl said beside her. Feels invisible. Sometimes it's like he's distancing himself from her. Seo Kaju said he didn't know what she was talking about at all. He's just a guy who was washed ashore while dying. She was the one who saved him. Isn't that enough? He's happy just to be around her. Even if he says such sad words. The girl really needed those words. The girl said it sounded weird, apologizing that it was his fault for making her sad. He said they were going. He wanted her to meet someone. The girl wondered who. It's enough for her just to be around him. He feels the same way. At this point, they came to somewhere. The girl met them. She couldn't figure out who the woman was. The girl was immediately a little disappointed when she saw the gentleman with the girl. Seo Kaju said he's back. The girl was really upset by these actions. She looked away and said it was fine. Seo Kaju said he's happy to see her again. He did a good job. She's happy he wasn't hurt. Who's the girl next to him? He said it was Seo Unwa. She saved his life, and they arrived in the city together. The swordswoman of the Bota clan. She apologized for not introducing herself right away. She's from the flower house. Junior Mistress Tang Solyun. The girl asked to come this way. They have a lot to discuss. The girl apologized for not being able to meet him. Organization matters. Seo Kaju said the guy told. He understands and apologizes for not making himself known. The girl couldn't understand why this kind was sticking it to her boyfriend. What did the guy bring her here for? The girl said that she will finish her business and visit them again. The younger master is that way. Seo Kaju thanked her for that. Seo Kaju realized that the girl hadn't met his brother yet. His younger brother helps him with his business. He wanted them to meet. He wanted to introduce her to his brother. Just at that moment, the brother noticed that his brother had come in. Now that looks like a tactician to me. He still has so much to learn. Everything here is about the organization. Spy reports, various rumors. He's collected and grouped it all together. The girl greeted him at that moment. Seo Kaju forgot to introduce them. This is his younger brother. This is the young mistress from the Bota swordsman clan, Seo Unwa. He understood. It was nice to meet you. Then they all sat down at the same table. Seo Kaju noticed that a girl had walked out to them. The girl asked if she had kept them waiting, but Seo Kaju said no. Time flies when talking to her brother. He needs to have a word with the mistress and privately. Let him stay here with his brother for now. The girl wasn't happy, but she agreed nonetheless. Of course, the girl noticed it too. The woman told them to pass. She heard that he had proved himself in Yangzhou. It was a good job. She thanked him for not seeing the organization as an enemy and for being supportive. Seo Kaju said that he's only doing what he has to do. Squads of God's shearers have signed off. A storm is about to hit Murim. After an attack by the Sura clan is being carefully monitored. After the Suma family incident, the Namgung and Wangbo families decided to pay attention to the two subdividing clans. However, no one wanted to act tough, so they didn't find any leads. You can't just grab it by the tail, and the God Squads have already infiltrated many places. That's why they don't investigate clans that have grown dramatically in the last 10 years. If they find something, have them report to him immediately. He too will gather forces to confront the God units. To begin with, he needs to unite the 10 Chalgan clans and settle in Wonjo. The young master said that's exactly what she would do. She's already gathering information from the 10 clans, but it's better to tell him and the master about them. That's how he doesn't doubt him. He knows his brother very well. He asks, let him continue to gather information about the 9 units in Murima. Of course he can contact his brother at any time. And also the most important issue, the most significant issue between the Baek family and the Jong Milgak clan remained. Is that so? It's about investing in the Khan Milgak clan. The girl thanked for the words, but promised that the organization would not violate the terms of the alliance. Even without payment they would continue to supply information to the Lord. A strong warrior should not receive information at the price of gold. For nothing. Fortunately, the past rebirth left him capital along with interest. The organization's fee for the year will be 100,000. Since he's talking about it, they won't accept the fee with great gratitude. They are genuinely grateful to him. Because of them the organization will thrive. I plan to call it a day. He has to go. The women were very pleased and looked up to him, and the girl was upset for some reason. At this point, she wanted to turn to him. She apologized to him. Seo Ka-ju asked what happened. She asked if she could find out what kind of relationship he had with a girl from the Boda clan. Seo Ka-ju was ready to reply, but the girl abruptly ran up to him, hugged him, and said they were lovers. She saved his life and they decided to take a trip as a couple in love. The girl felt a little embarrassed and said she understood. Then she said they were a great match. Seo Ka-ju said he hoped she wasn't saddened by it. There's no reason for that, because he and she are nobody to each other. The girl told them to go quickly. She wanted to see the night scenery, even though they are common, but just kind. There's no way she can repel the lover of the Boda clan's mistress. However, her heart already belongs to the Lord. And the other girl, Seo Ka-ju of the Baek family, the head of the Baek family's swordsman clan, Baek Jongsan, addresses the representatives of the 10 clans. The other day unusual air currents were seen in the valleys of Murim. Therefore, they believe that it is necessary to revitalize the Chalgan community. He suggests that the representatives of the 10 clans hold a meeting with the younger generation and hopes for a speedy response. At that point, he sent this message. He took it to the representatives. The man began to read it. It was the Fundo clan, Dae Gonp, Kanmu clan, Chan Wonhee, Kong family, Kong Wonhee, Shiljang clan, Tam Wangseong, Meknikov Pek clan, Pek Chalgan. The man went into a rage after that. He was sure it was the gentleman from the Baek family who had emptied Hongzhou's gold reserves. There was no mistake. Identical appearances and weapons used. I mean, he said he'd be stuck in meditation for a long time yet. He thought so. No one could have guessed he'd make so much progress. Not only has he regained his power, but he's also picked up a huge unknown fortune. Find out what Baek Jongsan is calling the community for so suddenly. It's clear as day that he's unrestricted by the place of the head of the Chalgan community. He's determined to clean up the rest of the clans, in which case something terrible might happen. The man thought that this was a chance for the clan less. In truth, the head could be changed at any time. For example, because of his ignorance and pride. How happy would they be if they also dishonored the swordsman of the Baek family? The traps are set now. It's their turn to spin the bait. The girl was lying on the bed at this point. Come on. She hadn't seen him in days. Goroe kept saying he was leading a meeting, or urgently summoned to MT. Anton, or something else. What did she expect from the head of the clan? After all, swordsmen have a lot of business. If they get married, it will always be like this. After tying her life to a guy, will she be able to continue to call herself the swordswoman of the Boda clan? The hero called out to her for a moment. Of course, the girl was glad to see him. So for today, where is he taking her? Or will not merge? Enter the rain clouds. Seo Ka-ju apologized. Will not leave love. But then, could she bring her sword with her? What was the big deal? Seo Ka-ju wanted to ask. Teach them the grinding techniques of the Bota clan. It's crazy how cute she was without the sword. It was as if he was fighting the 1,000-armed Guantang. The rumors of the clan weren't lying. The guy started attacking. but the girl could easily fight him at this moment. She then literally took and twirled her sword and attacked thus. That actually helped her, and she knocked the sword out of the guy's hands. He hadn't expected such an abrupt turn of events. He surrenders as expected of the clan. Her style is incredibly disliked, powerfully putting too much power into the sword. You didn't have to go that far. At this point, the girl turned to the guy. Of course she was bragging, and she was bored alone the whole time. The man said he would be next. He's hoping for a girl. He immediately began to attack her. The girl easily repelled this attack, and indeed, it was as if it was hard to fend off this attack. Seo Kaju immediately noticed that she was speeding up, and just at that moment, the girl began to fight the man. You can tell he's fighting at full strength, but she effortlessly dodges every attack. He's too hyped up and putting in more effort than usual. A mere opponent wouldn't be able to withstand his might anymore, but his opponent is a swordswoman of the Bota clan. The girl was actually fighting him with ease at this moment. She used the shadowy gate of a white flower. The girl at this point began to attack from the air. She started attacking him. They still have so much to learn. At this point someone took notice. Seo Kaju immediately recognized where he was. The man said he lost, but he is overdoing it. The opponent will not be crushed by power alone, so let him emphasize technique. The girl asked the gentleman if he had seen such a thing. At this point, she noticed the guy chatting with another girl. She couldn't figure out who else it was. Seo Kaju said he would send a scout to the altar, and about the supply of medicine, will deliver as soon as possible. Thank you, asked the girl if the guys were done. He asked her to do the workout himself and didn't even look. The protagonist apologized. He said he had to be distracted for a minute. It was too much. She only agreed for his sake, and he doesn't even look. He just knows how to talk to other women. Seo Kaju apologized and said that Deva-un is cooperating with the clan. He's always covering up for work. The girl really resented him for it. Apparently he had blundered. How embarrassing. Because of him she had to listen to this. What to expect from the lady of the Bota clan. He was also embarrassed. The girl said she would try to talk to her. At this point, the girl was tired and lay down for a bit. At that moment, the girl noticed her. It was a little late, but she introduced herself and said that she was the heiress of the Yun family. She already knew that she was the mistress of the Bota clan. They won't waste time on formalities. They'll get right down to business. The girl asked if she was Mrs. Ri. She realizes that this is a common thing for lovers to do, but don't let her worry. Their connection to the Lord is long past. They are just business partners now. However, there couldn't help but be doubt on her part. Would she be a suitable companion for the gentleman? What's that she's talking about? She's not fit for a gentleman or something? Let her not be mad. She's not saying it with the intent to demean her. She's in that turnaround. She has a very high opinion of her. Even with a single sword she is able to pacify Murim, the exact opposite of the gentle affairs of their harem. The girl asked what she wanted to say with that. She doesn't know how to wait. By nature she cannot give and does not tolerate when a companion is not by her side. She is destined to follow the clan. There can be no attachment. Will she be able to tolerate such a life as a lord's consort? She is ready to try on the image of an ordinary woman. Mr. Baek is a national hero. There will always be girls around him. Is she ready to burn with jealousy every time? She sees that she can't take it. That was all she wanted to tell her. Let her think it over well. But the girl became furious at this point. She said it on purpose to shut her off from the master. The girl at this point just smiled at her. Let her lord not worry, as she said, but nothing ties her together. She has no plans for him. Then why did she say it? She had loved him too in the past and couldn't just watch silently. Indecision will only lead to mental anguish. She doesn't want to suffer the same fate. Their conversation was not the most pleasant. Seo Kaju's very so Kaju could be seen in the blade floating in the moonlight. Father told the master that a reply to their proposal had come. Seo Kaju was surprised, for it was quicker than he had thought. Seo Kaju began to read. Time to get ready to leave soon. Seo Kaju went somewhere. He spotted someone. He noticed his own Enqua. For his carelessness, he asked if he had hurt her. No, she too wasted her time and apologized. The girl asked where he was going. Seo Kaju said he wanted to look at the flower garden. Need to pass on information. That's how she would have to wait again. He really was apologizing. There were important matters in the clan. He would be sure to come with her tonight and buy time tomorrow to go out. Always the same words. Let him come back soon. The girl, of course, was not happy with all this information. The Chalgan Community Council has been convened and will take up the issue of leadership in new areas of work. The proposal to elect a leader should be approved. It's a good reason after all. And some clans are quite ambitious. The Baek swordsman clan is worth paying attention to. Thanks to the Hangzhou Parcha and marriage connections, they have amassed an impressive capital, making them terrifyingly influential. The clan is among the construction of the strongest clans in the community. So that's why the clan acted arrogant with Hangzhou merchants. The guy was surprised that he knew him. On the way home, they defeated the losers of the clan and ruined the local merchants at the same time. He didn't doubt him. However, the clan had done everything to prevent them from becoming leaders. The Baek clan is followed by the Qianan clan, Xiaojiang clan, and the Mei family, all because of money. It's impossible to run a clan without having it. The Fundo clan will not miss the opportunity to take the leadership position. They will team up with the Kong family and the Yunho gang and try to implicate the Bichang clan. To become a leader, one must get the support of at least 6 clans. No one would dare to take the place if the Baek family showed their interest. The Kanmu clan and Hobin will definitely be in favor of them. They'll start increasing the number of supporters. Haegun won't even arise. Seo Kaju is asked to inquire about the remaining plans. If they realize what they want and need, they can win them over to their side. The girl said she would do her best. Seo Kaju kept her busy, and so busy with squads of other worldly gods if she could be of any use to him. Yuj asked the master when he would be leaving. So Kaju said probably in a couple of days. The girl asked if she could go with him too, but at that moment she realized it was unnecessary. The boy fell silent at this point. He ran out and asked his brother if he could talk to him. Seo Kaju said of course. Then they sat down at the table to talk. The lad apologized for the inconvenience. But does he know how much awe the Tang maiden feels for him? Seo Kaju said it was unexpected. Just from him such a thing. He's not such a fool not to notice. Then why didn't he reciprocate her feelings and bring the girl Seo? He might be wrong, but he had feelings for Maiden Tang. Seo Kaju said that was right. He was in love with Maiden Tang. As it turned out, at this moment, the girl was eavesdropping on them. But clearly I didn't expect to hear that. But he does not reject other people's feelings. The maiden with him first opened his heart too. He reciprocated her. But it's as if he doesn't feel sorry for Maiden Seol at all. There's a reason for everything. He cares about the girls in love with him. The boy could understand what caring meant. In the future, he would lead the Chalgan community. He would have to face the squads of the gods of the netherworld. It was very dangerous. He would leave his spouse alone for long periods of time. She would have to put up with this kind of life. Seo Kaju said that for this reason, he can't take the initiative first. He only has to wait for someone who is willing to share the part with him. It's his way of responding to their feelings. The girls were not at all pleased to hear this. So Kaju told the girl in the evening that he would soon be traveling to Genoa for a community council. Seo Kaju told the girl that if she wanted, she could go along with him. The girl asked if that meant she was part of the Baek clan family. Everything would be as she wished. The girl asked if he was going to deprive the Bota clan of a mistress. How many times does she say? She has to choose for herself. Right, but right now just let him hug her tighter. Seo Kaju said okay. There's a long night ahead. In the morning, Seo Kaju woke up. Looking over, he didn't notice Unhwa beside him. The girl apologized in the note for leaving unexpectedly, but she thinks it's the right thing to be by his side. It's happiness, but waiting for him to return hurts her. I guess she just doesn't know how to wait. She wants to be his companion, but she can't give up the Bota clan. Blindly urging without figuring out how you feel is wrong. But she was sincere in her feelings. He became her first and only love. She said goodbye, but hoped that the day would come when she would take her place beside him. She was right. Keeping a girl like that around would be a big waste. He will wait for another meeting when she has finished her journey and grown up. At the next meeting, she will be at her best. Ji Noa, the Fundo clan. The guy tells Seo Kaju that he's an Oppa. The relationship between the Jianmo and Baek clans can be considered to be at an end. He was told to see Juno's tour. He'll know who to pout to instead of that face. He introduced the head of the Bichang clan, Chouwan and Choubian. How many years, how many winters, so he really did restore the meridians. 3 years gone, looking good. She was glad to see him. He's really looking better than his own brother could ever say. He apologizes. He's nothing to them or something. Will he celebrate their meeting with a banquet? The Baek family was the initiator of the gathering or what? They want to take a chance and unite the forces of the Chalgan community. The situation in the country is so critical or what? Seo Kaju says it's not that. Well, Swordsman clan head Pak Jinan, Qianyan clan, Shimakwan, Xiaojiang clan Tam Yujin, Mei family, Mei Changchen all gathered indigo. What do they have here? A dead man who's come back to life. That's for sure. Seo Kaju said that they haven't seen Chek Janoon in a long time. He doesn't know what Io is up to. 8. I'm calling the community council again, but they won't do it. It's the Baek clan, they're not good at scheming. Seo Kaju that it's worth remembering at least their usury. The man called him a brat, furious at this response. He then asked if Seo Kaju had said everything. He was very much surprised when he saw what was happening. Seo Kaju stopped his hand and said he hadn't finished speaking yet. Where'd he get that kind of power? It's definitely the same guy he knew. Then Hongjo is really his handiwork. The head of the Fundo clan, Baekmugun, decided to intervene and said they hadn't seen each other in a long time. Obliged to growl at each other, they would settle things peacefully. Seo Kaju said that's right. You shouldn't be so exuberantly excited about the meeting. Let him not get his hopes up. Whatever they are up to, the seat of leadership will belong to the Baek clan. Seo Kaju says, ask the Yuli. They don't want to cave in to this idiot. Words are unnecessary here. Come on. He was acting like a red rag on a bull. He knows he's always on his side, but he better hurry up and get some reinforcements. They'll have a good time. It's been a long time since they've seen each other. It's a social thing. We're putting the community's case on the father. The swordsman clan, of the Baek family, has convened the community as the fields of Murim are spotted in Malia. The 9 heavenly units returned. Having drowned the country in blood in the past, Mugen split the Sura clan. Even to defeat one clan, they had to team up with the Wonbo and Namgung families. They are losing to the troops in strength. They need to stick together. The Murima fields are under the care of the Child family or the Kuj clan. What do they have to do with this? They operate secretly under the power of the political clans. They can't be quiet. Moreover, the existence of all of Murim is at risk. Should not have the strength to defend themselves. And then what are they Only together can we survive. The Chalgan community must unite beyond words. Thus, their family is running for the seat of the head of the Chalgan community. Everyone was very much surprised from such a harsh suggestion. Everything was as expected. He thanked them for making all the arrangements. They will be the head of the community. They'll hold a secret ballot. Whoever gets the most votes will face off in a head-to-head duel. It's a great way to test a candidate's ability and influence. How will the duel be held? Not only heads of clans can compete, but also heirs of clans. The head and heirs will team up in a 2-man team and go into battle. He won't need to get involved. There's no one who can compete with him. He's certainly glad to have such an incredible one, but can he give his old man a chance? This divides the chapter with more powers. But because of this plan, they can boldly manage the Chalgan community. Can't worry about the trials, but needs to get most of the votes. Let him hurry up to recruit allies. And speaking of which, he thought how. But he needs his father's permission. But what good is his authorization? Let him act. As if knowing, Seo Kaju was grateful for the words. The girl apologized in the note for leaving unexpectedly, but she thinks it's the right thing to be there for him. It's happiness, but waiting for him to return hurts her. I guess she just doesn't know how to wait. She wants to be his companion, but she can't give up the Bota clan. Blindly urging without figuring out how you feel is wrong. But she was sincere in her feelings. He became her first only love. She said her goodbyes, but hoped that the day would come when he would take a place beside him. She was right. Keeping a girl like that by her side would be a big waste. He will wait for another meeting when she has finished her journey and grown up. At the next meeting, she will be at her best. Ji Noa. The Fundo clan. The guy tells Seo Kaju that he's an Oppa. The relationship between the Jianmo and Baek clans can be considered to be at an end. He was told to see Juno's tour. He'll know who to pout to instead of that face. He introduced the heads of the Bichon clan, Chowan and Chobian. How many years? How many winters? So he really did restore the meridians. 3 years gone, looking good. She was happy to see him. He's really looking good. You don't see your own brother saying that. He apologizes. He's nothing to them or something. Will he celebrate their meeting with a banquet? Did the Baek family initiate the gathering, or do they want to take a chance and join forces with the Chalgan community? Is the situation in the country so critical or what? Seo Kaju says he was looking for something. Not that. But what? Swordsman clan head Pak Jinan, Chianyan clan, Shimakwan, Shieljang Tam Yujin clan, Mei family, Mei Changchen all gathered indigo. What do they have here? A dead man who's come back to life. That's for sure. Seo Kaju said that they haven't seen Chek Janoon in a long time. He doesn't know what IO8 is up to. I'm calling the community council again, but they won't do anything. It's the Baek clan. Aren't they good at scheming? Seo Kaju that it's worth remembering at least their usury. The man called him a brat and became furious at this response. He then asked if Seo Kaju had said everything. He was very much surprised when he saw what was happening. Seo Kaju stopped his hand and said he hadn't finished speaking yet. Where'd he get that kind of power? It's definitely the same guy he knew. Then Hongjo is really his handiwork. The head of the Fundo clan, Baekmugun, decided to intervene and said that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. Do they have to growl at each other? They'll settle things peacefully. Seo Kaju said that's right. You shouldn't be so exuberantly excited about the meeting. Don't let him get his hopes up. Whatever they are up to, the seat of leadership will belong to the Baek clan. Seo Kaju says, ask the Yuli. They don't want to cave in to this idiot. Words are unnecessary here. Come on. He was acting like a red rag on a bull. He knows he's always on his side, but he better hurry up and get some reinforcements. Right, but first things first, they'll have a good time. It's been a long time since they've seen each other. It's a social thing. We're putting the community's case on the father. The swordsman clan and the Baek family have called a community meeting as Malia has been spotted in the fields of Murim. The 9 heavenly units that had drowned the country in blood in the past had returned. Mugen split the Sura clan. Even to defeat one clan, they had to team up with the Wanbo and Namgung families. They are losing by a squad in strength. They need to stick together. The fields of Nurima are under the care of the Child family or the Kuj clan. What do they have to do with this? They operate secretly under the power of political clans. They cannot be quiet. Moreover, the existence of all of Murim is threatened. Shouldn't they have the power to protect themselves? So what are they Only together can we survive. The Chalgan community must unite beyond words. Thus, their family is running for the seat of the head of the Chalgan community. Everyone was very much surprised at such a drastic suggestion. Everything was as expected. He thanked them for making all the arrangements. They will be the head of the community. They will hold a secret ballot. Those with the most votes will face off in a head-to-head match. It's a great way to test a candidate's ability and influence. How will the duel be held? Not only heads of clans can compete, but also heirs of clans. The head and heirs will team up in a 2-man team and go into battle. He won't need to get involved. There's no one to compete with him. He's certainly glad to have such an incredible one, but can he give his old man a chance? This gives the head a lot of power, but because of this plan they can boldly run the Chalgan community. We don't have to worry about the trials, but we need to get the bulk of the votes. Let him hurry up, secure an ally. And speaking of which, he thought, how's that? But he needs his father's permission. But what good is his permission? Let him act as he knows how. Seo Kaju was grateful for the words. Seo Kaju beckoned to his father. The father then flew into the air and began to attack. He attacked his enemy from the air. He was advancing ever closer to the enemy. His punches were accurate and powerful. One of the blows was so hard that the opponent flew into the air. In the first bout of the decisive battle for the title of community head, the Baek family won. Seo Kaju said that it was a great job and the father is glad that they were able to find common ground. The guy was talking about how the swordsman clan's skill was too strong. He had heard that it had gotten stronger in no time, but to become this strong, he hadn't expected it to be this strong. It could be dangerous. They need to increase their power. The man asked the other man if he was asking if he could get him the elixir. Everything was right to definitely win the decisive battle for the chapter title. He didn't even know if he was already a matchmaker, being the best in the community, so unsure. Of course, he won't lose. However, it is better to back up and increase the chances of winning. He decided to look at their cash reserves, worrying about better times. All because of the people he trusted had been trashed to pieces. All because of his goofy brother. But this time on the eve of the chapter, he will make no mistake. But if he suddenly gets his hands on Alexa, the Swordback clan will become the head of the community. That could cause trouble for him and the merchants of Hangzhou. The man became enraged at this point. He couldn't understand why he was being threatened by another man, but began to deny it. Or does he think they have one single Baek clan? If so, he's mistaken if he thinks that since he's a matchmaker. And then he abruptly changed his point of view. The man started apologizing for something he said without thinking. The man turned his gaze away from him at that moment. The man put his head down as well. He said there was no need to frown. He was right, and they should be at their best before a serious battle. Don't let him worry, but he'll be sure to get the elixir. Soon they would be twinned, and it would be their common cause. He thanked Swada, who would surely become the head, for his mercy. Damn merchants. They'll still watch the Baek clan take over as head of the community and they'll dance. The case doesn't require swearing, having to bow his head. He'll take over, and they'll run after him. He will give them hell on earth. the man began to fight. The second bout of the decisive battle for the chapter title has begun. The boy noticed that his father immediately flew off after the first attack. Of course, this made him furious. Father said that he would not admit defeat. No one would take away his place as the head of victory for the Baek swordsman clan. Decent fight with his father. However, they are not adversaries. The man and his father entered the ring. The boy asked his father what was the matter. It's not like that. Their clan increased their strength for a big margin of victory, but not even these hotels with so much difficulty. But they had defeated them, so don't let them worry. It was strange how the weaklings of the Bishan clan could become stronger in such a short period of time. So it was true. The cursed Mugen had helped him improve his technique. It's a shame. He worked so hard to prepare them. Let them stop. Great fight. Just didn't have enough time. Seo Kaju told them not to worry. He would continue to help them. The man thanked him. Seo Kaju told his father to rest too. He will defeat Yunho's gang. And he's not promo. The rumors don't lie. His mother is amazing. Seo Kaju says he's flattering him. In the battle with the Baek clan, the Bichang clan held on to the last. They weren't even recognizable. Seo Kaju said that in truth, he was the one who had improved their clan's fighting prowess. If they support their family, he will also help improve their gang skills and will supply Alexa if the family takes over. Is it true? If he's not lying, of course they will support their family. Seo Kaju said thank you, but he would definitely keep his promise. He's garnered support already. Through the efforts of the Bichang clan, the hearts of the followers of the Fundo clan had become weak. At this rate, their family will have majority support. It was reported that the Fundo clan won. The guy started fighting. Then it was later reported that the Kanmu clan was the victor. The Kanmu clan doesn't stand still. Since the Kong family and the Chaniang clan declined to participate in the quarterfinals, it turns out that the Baek family, Baek clan, Fundo clan, and Jianmu clan made it to the semi-finals. Flower Garden. The battle for the chapter title. Their family made it to the top 4 semi-finalists. It was great. The girl asked if the news was good. The girl said mistress and asked if she spent her always, and I need something right away. Hangzhou merchants are acting suspiciously. She started crossing paths with them lately, so she keeps an eye on all their movements. Recently, the merchants have been looking for elixirs, definitely for the Baek clan to have an advantage in the battle. But that's not all. 2 suspicious men set sail on a merchant ship toward the city. The girl realized that this was clearly for a reason. The girl thanked the mistress. But why did she choose to come in person? This was important information. It would be more reliable if she passed it on herself. After all, it's all for the Lord, not because she likes it. Both the success and the master depend on their prosperity. She understands her perfectly well and will pass the information to the master as soon as possible. At this point, the girl sent the pigeon into town. At this point, the man was presented with an elixir. The man said he had gotten the elixir. Why is he so displeased? He's grateful for it. He had never encountered an elixir that emitted such sinister energy. Where did he get it? Let him go if he won't eat, since he doesn't need it. The man said he'll definitely take it. Maybe he slipped him some kind of poison. He'll do anything for the power that will lead him to the seat of power. At that moment, the man felt something. He immediately fell to the ground. The man said it didn't take long for it to have an effect. Well, he had to go now. All that's left is to wait for the result. After that, the man lost consciousness. Seo Kaju noticed that, when the day of the battle came, it continued. The man was fighting at this point. A guy appeared behind the man. Of course, Seo Kaju was also with his father. Then they all 4 of them fought amongst themselves. 8 windy blades. The man began to dodge these attacks. The boy shouted to his father at this point. He started fighting the main character. The man then noticed that he was beginning to be attacked, but he easily managed to repel that attack. The father told his son that he was doing a good job. Just at that moment, Seo Kaju decided to intervene. Then he drew his sword. He used the heavenly moonlight blade. At this moment, the boy noticed that Seo Kaju had managed to impress his father. He then noticed that the man was ready to attack him. The man used the sword of the heavens and seas. The victory was for the Sword Clan and the Baek family. Seo Kaju told his father that he was great. Wow, that's a really beautiful victory. How could it not be? His next path awaits a steep fight. Just don't let him blow it in the beginning. At that moment, Seo Kaju noticed the man. A very strong and sinister energy exuded from him. Seo Kaju immediately noticed it. Strange, he doesn't recall the clan having such power. No, he's not just powerful. It's like a different person in front of him. But he's sure that the Kanmu clan didn't give up that easily. If the Baek family keeps their promise and doesn't support her in the vote, Seo Kaju thanked. let him rest assured, they won't be indebted. At that moment, they both noticed something. Seo Kaju couldn't understand what had happened. What he saw scared and surprised him very much. His friend at this point was grabbed by the man with one hand. The man was indeed very strong. He said they were all pathetic lowlifes. They dared to challenge the Baek clan. He was garbage, that's all he was. We must cut them down so that they dare not go against their clan again. Seo Kaju, of course, decided to intervene. They see that this clan can no longer continue the fight. They're here to show off their skills. They're organizing a slaughter. Let them put down their sword, or there will be no mercy for them. They found something to brag about, hadn't given it yet. They were something. Even the son asked to calm down. Why wait until after the battle? Let him fight it right here. Seo Kaju told them to be careful, because the man was clearly not himself. Father told him to focus on the battle. At this point, they began to attack each other. The hero immediately set out to fight he knew it, the questionable energy emanating from him. What did he do? But the man asked, what good would it do him to find out? Then the man and the guy started fighting too. Let the air stop. It's against all moral principles. He's powerless too. Now that it's come to this, the only thing left to do is to beat them. The boy and his father grouped together at this point. Seo Kaju said that he was no longer in a state to hear someone else's words. He was probably right. He's taking over the head of the clan. Then she's his heir. The opponent is going to have to sweat. He's not going to lose to some youngster. They all wanted to almost kill each other. Seo Kaju says to use the sword of lightning in heaven. The guy hadn't expected such strength from the old man. The man then proceeded to attack him directly from the air. The guy tried to resist him, but he just ran away from him. The man told the guy he was an arrogant bastard. Used the dissecting sword of the desert city. Seo Kaju noticed that his power had actually increased. However, he still had a long way to go. The man couldn't understand if the shield could repel his attack so easily. Just at that moment, Seo Kaju got close to him. Seo Kaju was ready to attack the man at this moment. The man tried his best to fend off his attacks, but he wasn't very good at it. Then Seo Kaju jumped up. The man realized that the bastard outmatched him in strength. Seo Kaju said that apparently the elixir was giving him strength, but it was without. It's not too late to apologize to the Kanmu clan and admit defeat. It will save their clan's honor. But the man, of course, was not in agreement with this and came to be furious about it. He didn't want to back down and wasn't ready to continue the fight. The man said it was crazy, but his sword was practically broken. Seo Kaju then decided to literally launch his shield at him. Then the shield hit him right in the sword. Then, Seo Kaju decided to use his sword already. After that, the man simply collapsed. It really worked, and Seo Kaju was stronger than him. Then, in fact, his son fell as well. The man was intimidated by just how strong his opponent was. Seo Kaju repeated once more, let him admit defeat and apologize for his action. The man fell off his feet. His son was also lying on the ground at that moment. He was intimidated by how strong his opponent was. Seo Kaju repeated once more, let him admit defeat and apologize for his action. At this point, explainable things began to happen to the man. Even my son couldn't understand what was beginning to happen to him. At this moment, it was as if his sinister energy became even greater. Father asked what was already happening to him. Seo Kaju said that there was something wrong, so he should be careful. There can be no other explanation for this. There is none. Instead of improving his combat skills, he recklessly used the killing elixir of detachment. So how did the elixir end up in the head's possession? The son tried to stop his father at this point, but his father didn't listen to him at all and hit him. The blow was so strong that the guy immediately flew back a few meters. The man was furious. He was like a beast at this moment. Seo Kaju was ready to meet him. The man immediately began to attack him, but Seo Kaju was unwavering and easily gave him a counterattack. The man clearly didn't expect it and didn't even manage to react. Seo Kaju was confident in his strength and knew that he was much stronger than the man. He then proceeded to deliver very quick blows to the man. The man was already on his knees. Seo Kaju then decided to punch him right in the head. He literally drove the man into the ground. It was announced that the Baek family's swordsman clan had won. The damage is minor, but he's worried about his internal organs. Get them to call a doctor. He just knocked him out. Father asks if he knows what happened in the end. He guesses that it was just the malicious influence of Alexei of the 9 squads. But the question is it true? He said that definitely the election of the head could not help but interfere. Seo Kaju can guess who's behind it. But right now it's better to wait it out and pretend he doesn't know anything. The man was furious at this useless piece of shit. He'd been drinking. He had so much money to see this pathetic sight. Then someone came up to him and said the result was disappointing. If the Baek family becomes the head, they will all be in a predicament. Now it's their turn to act. Of course he'll help them. What objection could there possibly be? At this point, everyone was congratulating the man. The man thanked for his trust. In doing so, they will join forces to fight the greatest threat together. These mortal bodies will dedicate themselves to the community. He proposes a banquet to celebrate the reopening of the community. The family invites everyone. Jinhua Banquet Hall. Everyone was celebrating and relaxing at this point. Seo Kaju was chatting with some girl. Someone came up to him and apologized for interrupting the fun. It was a man who said he was a representative of Hangzhou merchants named Chang Henchal. He apologizes for the matchmaking and congratulates the community on the rebirth. May he accept this first-class liquor as a gift. A man wants to have a good time. Seo Kaju looked at him with a smile at this moment. He thanked the drink as a gift. There were disagreements between them, but a glass of alcohol would dispel all that. At this point he poured himself a cup. Seo Kaju said they are drinking to the future of the community, but the man knew there was no future and called him a dumbass. After a while, the man ran somewhere very fast. The man said it's done. These idiots don't even realize. We have to see this through. I don't want to burden my head with the Sama family's affairs. Everyone should know their place. There will always be a new puppet to replace the Baek clan. At this point, the report was ready. Everyone at the banquet drank alcohol struck with poison. Not immobilized is their chance. The man realized that this was a very good thing. They'll start hunting. At that point they burst into the building. They were all ready to fight. At this point, the man was very much surprised. They couldn't understand what was going on. At this point, someone had closed the doors and was ready to begin his speech. The guy said with a smile on his face that they had been duped. Then still they were led by all these people. They were terrified. How did they know they were coming? Why didn't the poison that struck them work? Seo Kaju said their families have eyes and ears everywhere. The little rats see through our dirty deeds. Now they were getting worried. But then they all became enraged and were ready to attack. Then, Seo Kaju's henchmen took up the fight. Seo Kaju, of course, didn't want to lag behind either and was ready to fight. The man was very much surprised at this action. And then a bright light filled the entire building completely. In the moment, half of the enemy was defeated. The battle was in full swing. What is this power? If they fight carelessly, they could get hurt. It can't be. It's radiant energy. At this moment, the man guessed that Seo Kaju was the god of thunder. Seo Kaju said that it doesn't matter at all now. Either way, they're not getting out of here alive. Then he attacked them all at once. Heck, wasn't he the one who destroyed the Samasage clan? The man told them to attack him from behind. Basically, they listened to him and decided to go around him. Seo Kaju started fighting them with ease, not straining at all. At that moment one of the men was ready to attack him from the back. He said he shouldn't have messed with them. Now he was doomed. Seo Kaju didn't change at all at this moment. In the Lyceum he was confident in his abilities. Then he actually started fighting both of them at the same time. Of course, they were very much surprised by such skill of Seo Kaju. The main character actually fought with ease with literally one hand against everyone. At that moment, the man flew backwards. Seo Kaju was confident at this moment. Then he threw the other guy off. They clearly didn't expect such a powerful force. At this point, he gave the impression that they were not his equals. Even if they don't get rid of him, there's no obligation to report his belt. He somehow dodged Suradak's attack. The man went on the attack. Seo Kaju, of course, was prepared for this and for the attacks. This was his chance. Let him get out of here. The man understood it half-heartedly. And, of course, he immediately started running away. The man said that Seo Kaju will die here with him, but Seo Kaju didn't think so at all and actually said so. He then decided to use a thunder squall. It was indeed a very strong technique in his performance. Seo Kaju then used his shield to stop the man who started to run away. Turning around, he saw the shield coming toward him, and then he just happened to hit it. The man started asking the guy to spare him. Seo Kaju asked him if he thought he would let him go. He won't leave any of them alive. At that moment, Seo Kaju started killing them. Then the situation did calm down. They all turned their attention to the guy. At this point, someone actually approached him. The man said that they hadn't found the man in the swordsman Baek clan. At that moment, in fact, a man was brought in. They caught this pig that let them in. Seo Kaju said it was great. He then informed everyone that it was all the work of the 9 clans and units. They are like a disease all over Murim. They manipulate those who invite them in by any means necessary. At the end they show their real faces and have this kind of bloodshed. There is no way to protect yourself from them. Seo Kaju, the god of thunder, left with proof of the resurrection of the 9 clans. Now that this issue is particularly critical, he will perform his duties as the god of thunder. As they could see, the Chalgan clan was no exception to the threat from the 9 clans. He thought that the swordsman Baek clan was also manipulating them. To defeat them, they must have strength. Asking the masters of the community to help their clan in this endeavor, they all said they would support their clan. Seo Kaju said that this is how it ended. The alliance was united. All the follow-ups were done. Clan head Baek knew nothing about the 9 god units, but he took responsibility. Jang Hyun Chul was also Azura's puppet. The culprits were punished, and the money was deposited in the silver bank. The head core of the community has proposed to renovate and build a large mansion, and father will also be involved in building the core for a while. Her uncle heads the clan's investigation operation. Myuk also analyzes and shares information with Jong Milgake, so all he has to do is drink soju and tea like this. He was busy and at this time she thought it was time to rest now. He seemed to be a workaholic. She wanted to be alone with him longer. At this point, both of them got a little embarrassed. The girl said she had some business for him. COQ wondered what it was. She recognized the location of Nanchung's envoy. All they need is the strongest master, so they looked for the most talented of them. Nanchung had fought against a demon in the past. They were allies of the god of war. Seo Kaju says that it's Dawn who knows about it. Those guys would still be alive. Good job. He was just trying to find them whose whereabouts he had managed to figure out. The girl said that she managed to find Hanbak's whereabouts, much to the guy's surprise. This person has secluded herself and lives in Dongchang, Jingchun province. She learned about it through chance, but she could not find out the whereabouts of the other Nanchung envoys. If that's true, that's enough. She did well. The girl asked if he was leaving right now. As he had said earlier, there was no reason to doubt it. She means she doesn't care, but could she go with him? I mean, because it's a good idea to go straight to Kian Milgak together. There, as far as safety is concerned, she'll be able to protect herself. If he's not sure, people will protect her. Seo Kaju thought about it for a moment. Even if it's difficult, will she be able to handle it? She said she would follow him everywhere. At this point, they were being overheard. They went for a walk together. Fan Yen. Apparently, this is where Hanbik Taechep is located. Seo Kaju from what it is. It's just an ordinary house. Seo Kaju starts to introduce himself. He's here to see Daehip, so please let him open the doors. At this point, no one answered him. Seo Kaju noticed that there seemed to be no one inside. It looked like it, and the girl offered to look around, but at that moment, a man appeared. The noise of the forest in the wind, Hanbak. He asked what they were, spies on other people's houses or what? When he saw him, he immediately smiled. Even decades later he remains the same. He thinks, soon to be senile farsightedness. He gets uncomfortable when he sees someone snooping around his house. They think they can look at everything like that. At that moment some little boy came up. He told his uncle that they had a big problem. The man asked the little boy what was wrong. He said there were robbers in the village. Then who is in the camp? The man told them to stay and wait for him. Impressive, a true representative of Nanchun. He's famous for his reputation. The man was still here. It looks like there are bandits in the village. Gurinchen's band of bandits may have attacked the village. He can't just let it go. Seo Kaju didn't tell them to stay and wait here. At this point, the village was truly in chaos. They had orders to kill and pillage everyone. Some girl begged and pleaded to let them live. It would be good to have one protector in the village. That's the price of cocky soldiers. Right at that moment, someone attacked him. It was the same man. They clearly didn't expect this turn of events. He told them to get the hell out of here. The scions of brigands would get nothing out of him. The man said he would kill them all. And at that moment, he used the force, scattering them all. When he wanted to do it again, the men said they would just leave. The man said he made him laugh, so why should he listen to him? He asked, let him not take his life. Let him take it and get the rest of them out of here. They're not even worth his one finger. The man said they are cowardly animals. At that moment, the man noticed those who attacked him, but he clearly didn't expect this turn of events. Seo Kaju asked him if he had barely been captured in the assault. He's really getting old before he's even ugly. What did he say? Had Lena seen anything like it? Who else would it be if he laid a finger on it? Just at that moment, Seo Kaju grabbed his mouth. He said if he laid a finger on it. What then? Called him a thug and told him to shut his filthy mouth. At this point, the man decided to address the others. he did come, and the arrest at that moment. Seo Kaju said that even in his 60s, he remains as energetic as ever. He thanked him for his help, but he still had milk on his lips. The way he laughs with him, talking to him like that. Seo Kaju said it was hurtful. Seo Kaju asked if he recognized him. He needs to know what he can tell Yaron. How many times he's been kicked out of a flirtation. At that moment, the aide apparently realized that it was Guy Ingwei. He's got great skills, so what's his name? If they win, he'll be sure to introduce him to his little sister. When he was dying, the man couldn't forgive it. He promised to give his wife's younger sister. He said he'd find him a date too. But what about Sojo? Because he's dead. Seo Kaju looked at him at this moment. The man realized it was really him. He still couldn't believe it. He still couldn't believe if rebirth was possible. It was something that couldn't be achieved on a normal level. No matter how many times he is reincarnated, he is born more beautiful than before. He too had experienced rebirth. That was his destiny. But these bandits are far more dangerous than he thought. The village is open enough to be attacked so easily. The man said it was all because of him. He left too many enemies last time. He knew, he thought, that when Hidanei and Sojo were rescued, they would start dating. Yes, because if he has a relationship with a girl, he can't save his life. What is it? His life. Though it's nice to see that he has a girlfriend, that they have to take down these thugs and save Sojo. It wasn't as simple as he said it was. Rit could easily take down a gang with his powers. It's the Kurencha gang. They're thugs you can see anywhere. Behind them are 72 slumbering woods, the biggest gangs. The main player at this point with. Since when was the great man afraid of a group of some thugs? He said it wasn't like that. Seo Kaju said he knows he has a woman dear to him, but he also fears the city will suffer. It was a good job. He has something to protect, so he's going to keep protecting his beloved. Let him worry. At that point, they went somewhere. Seo Kaju said that's where Gyorengi is. Don't let him think it's that simple. On Jeju Island, the rumored leader of Gyorenji Menhyuk is rumored to have high-level abilities. Don't underestimate, Seo Kaju said. Here they are going to see. It's just a group of bandits. As before, that over-the-top confidence. So why did he bring his girlfriend? They both have excellent martial arts skills, but the problem is that they have captured hostages, so they need to proceed with caution. They don't know where they are now and people are in danger. If two martial arts masters can't save them, wow, how are they going to do that? She obviously has the same fighting ability as them, but there was one but. If they enter Kyeonmugak, they will succeed. In such a short time managed to rebuild the organization. In addition, everyone is a low-level craftsman, and only a girl with excellent talent participated. Seo Kaju said that he trusted and believed them. At that moment, a group of people began to make their way inside. They acted very cooperatively and quietly at this point. Then they attacked everyone who needed to be attacked. One of the men could make out what the noise was. That's when he noticed this group of people. But in the moment, they handled them with ease. The girls told her not to be afraid, for Sojo had sent them. All the hostages were rescued. Other villagers were also imprisoned. At that moment, the three of them got very tense about something. At this point they were given a sign. Just like that. Conscious, he asked the man if everything was ready. He said naturally, and the girl noticed that they were both tense. At that moment, the man was afraid of something. As it turned out, Seo Kaju was attacking him at that moment. Their force was so powerful that it easily broke through the defenses. Then they both walked into this town. Of course it was an assault. The man immediately began to use his powers. No one could even come close to opposing him, for it was too fast a movement. At that moment, Seo Kaju noticed the people from above on the roof. He immediately realized what he needed to do and decided to use his shield. Then these people were no longer standing on the balcony. They continued their battle. The man was telling them to get the bandit brat. Just at that moment, someone from above attacked him. Seo Kaju noticed this and decided to save the man. That's courage, daring two guys to attack Gyorenji. It was the head of Gyorenji named Meng Hyuk-san. Well, how long could they hold out against such a paltry number of Gyoren? As soon as they appeared, the men immediately knocked them out of the way. The man couldn't understand what it was. Seo Kaju told him that it burns. Seo Kaju then told him to use his shield. He easily attacked the man without any resistance. Seo Kaju said he wasn't going to mess around with him for long. He's here to destroy every last one of them. The man at this point was smiling and looking at them for some reason. He said they were fools and signaled some guys. Hanbak was a stupid puppy. He really thought he wasn't prepared for their attack. He forgot he took his girlfriend hostage. He'll take his girlfriend with him. He'll show him the pain in front of her. But at this moment, Seo Ka-ju and the man were smiling very caustically. The guy then informed the boss that they had a big problem. He asked what the problem was. The girl and the rest of the hostages escaped. The man realized he'd screwed up this time. Seo Ka-ju asked if he thought they hadn't thought it up beforehand. The man then became enraged and said he had moved to hell. Now the man was truly beginning to dread the problem ahead. The man decided that the best solution was to just run. Seo Ka-ju said that in any case, the enemy is defeated. With that kind of behavior, he looks like a bandit himself. Seo Ka-ju then knocked the man down with his shield. The man rose into the air and was ready. He started to tell the man to wait. He was wrong, but there is someone behind all this. He's gonna tell us everything. The man put all his strength into that punch. The man, of course, felt unbearable pain at this moment, and then he kicked his ass and sent him very far away. Useless. He could tell him who was behind it all. They already know who he is. At this point, the girl was in protective custody. As soon as she saw the man, she immediately moved to embrace him. The girl was also glad that Seo Ka-ju was fine. The bandits quickly retreated. He had told her not to worry. It was only because of her who got all the members together that things got resolved so easily. But she said it was all wrong. It was only because of his power that they were able to do it. At that moment, they both turned around and noticed something. The man on his knees apologized to the girl and said that it was all because of him. But the girl calmed him down and said that it wasn't. She believed that he would be able to find her. Seo Ka-ju was quite surprised by such a picture. At that moment, the day came. The man asked to be excused. He had involved her in his work. Before, he couldn't do that to solve the conflict with the 72nd Forest Bandits. Seo Ka-ju said that it was necessary to finally sweep away the stodgy group of bandits someday anyway. Don't let him worry about it. The biggest thing to think about right now was that they wouldn't be able to get away from them as long as the Heaven's Demon Gate was still in place. He says there's someone behind these scum. Those violent ghouls he fought in the village. Weren't they dressed as bandits? Those guys were henchmen of the Heaven's Gate demons. They also don't specialize in secret murders. Yes, it bloody well is. Why didn't he find out? There was no way, so it was inevitable. If that's the case, then it means that the henchmen of Heaven's Gate are behind the Gyurench bastards. That's right, but they'll decide and aim first. These guys are gradually becoming aggressive. Above all, failing to deal with those who get in their way. He's like a representative of Nanchong. Let him just try to get out. 30 years ago he couldn't, so now he'll finally get it over with. He's going to come back anyway, no matter what happens. If he kills him, it won't work. As before, they must prepare well. Heaven's Gate demons will attack. He asks her along with the members to make sure all the villagers evacuate. The girl says she will do everything. Seo Ka-ju apologized that he was the reason she was having a hard time. She said everything was fine. All the dicks were in place. Except there was one but. Just at that moment she kissed him. Seo Ka-ju didn't expect such a kiss. In a moment, the girl averted her gaze. She told him to take care of himself. Seo Ka-ju told her not to worry about him. He would definitely take care of himself like he always did. Then the girl left with all the members. The man asked him if he thought they would get there safely. Let him not worry, it was their job. The goal of the enemies is to take over the village, so it's not necessarily that they're coming here, even in the past. He shared his affection for Kian Milgak with him. His tastes remained the same. He thinks the guy who was bursting with jealousy last time will calm down because he already has a girlfriend. He does. If he only knew about this good thing, his life would be flawed. At that moment, night fell. As said, the bandits came to conquer the village. Some man said that there was no way he could catch the old man. It was the Cheonsalgefen clan. Said one band disappeared and wasn't mediocre. Let him take a look at this. It's another one of their prey. The man let it be known that they were starting. That's when they surrounded the buildings and adopted the plan. Just at this moment, Seo Ka-ju began to use his powers. A very strong and powerful explosion came. The man couldn't understand what it was that had already happened. Didn't you know in advance they were coming? Right at that moment, Seo Ka-ju and the men made the decision to attack. Seo Ka-ju said they're coming. This is the perfect opponent for him. He was actually different from the assassins he had seen before. It was the head of Shinchunjon. Jamuraji are masters of a high level. On top of that, their leader is probably a Mahjong class man. A difficult opponent. Had he been alone, the man would have offered to smash them like he did 30 years ago. Seo Ka-ju and the man used moonlight and wind blowing. With awkwardness, they set about dealing with the creeps. Seo Kaju said that his left side at that moment said he wanted a good meal. When the man stepped on, everyone was very much afraid of him. Of course, because of fear, they could do nothing against him. Seo Kaju was also ready to deal with them all at the moment. He began to use his powers to finish them off at once. One of the men said he was an unusual guy. The Skygate guys are so incomprehensible. Why are they even participating in the resistance? It's you, the one who doesn't understand anything. The offense pounces like fire. Seo Kaju didn't tense up at all and rapped with them with one hand. Of the two, the one with the sword is the more dangerous. He'll disarm him first, but suddenly a bolt of lightning struck him. Seo Kaju was not paying attention to him at all at this moment. He fought everyone in his path with ease. The man who attacked him said that even if he died, he would hit and die first. Seo Kaju noticed that he was a persistent guy. The man was ready to attack him at this point. At that moment, the protagonist felt something. A very incomprehensible action took place. The man thanked me for it. White doesn't suit him. Seo Kaju was furious at what he had done. From that point on, he decided to turn to the man. Seo Kaju said that no matter what his name was, he was using his warrior's life. It was disgusting. The man could understand what he was saying. He said it was just an opportunity. Seo Kaju then decided to use his power against him. Of course, he easily pushed his opponent away from him at this point. But the man was no slouch either and put his legs out. Who is he, anyway? Seo Kaju was unwavering at this moment and was willing to fight until the very end. He decided to use his power again. What if I did? No way. The man for his own safety bounced back at this point. Seo Kaju then began to defend himself with his shield. At this point, the man began to attack as well. But Seo Kaju easily repelled his attack. After his attack, all that was left was the wind. And right at that moment, the man was already behind Seo Kaju. The man said that Seo Kaju was mistaken. At this moment, to Seo Kaju's surprise, he easily attacked him. I mean, he says he's the best mercenary. The man was stunned by all the action at this point. Was the guy in front of him really a thunder god? Seo Kaju said, starting to get tired of his words. Recognizing him from those present, no one would survive. He used the moonlight, Chonghum. The man was very much surprised by the guy. He then shouted for everyone to retreat. The man didn't realize what began to happen at that moment. He noticed as everyone really started to run away. They run away with their tails between their legs. What a wise decision. Seo Kaju decided to use his shield against them. I was an ex-moon. Suramun will be beaten by the bastard. At least one person should survive to tell this fact. At this moment, Seo Kaju didn't let him get away. He was screaming about how no scum could get away. He struck everyone with his lightning and kept him from escaping. The man said it was a good job. Let them wait. At this moment, Seo Kaju began to approach the man. Let him take no offense. He'll send every one of them to the other side of the world. Moonlight is unheard of. Seo Kaju was done after all and killed the guy. He caught them all without missing a single one. He did a good job. We have to go. If they go now, they can catch up with Dan Soju at the Anju border. The man apologized and said he couldn't go with him. Seo Kaju could understand the reason for this. He asked what he meant by that. He wants to go with him, but there is something that can't be avoided. Seo Kaju asked her, and she replied gravely and sharply that then they would break up here. He said goodbye to the man, saying that he was obliged to hear it anyway. Seo Kaju asked, so why should he not keep someone who runs away because of the fear of the Heaven's Gate? Demons he really didn't know he was, but it's not like that. Let him listen to what he has to say to him. Seo Kaju said that he knows very well that he's someone who won't run away. He really hasn't changed since the past. He's still the same child, even if he has superpowers. The bandits of the 72 forests have tremendous power. Maybe it's okay that his powers would replace 100 warriors, but if the armies of the 3 kings of the 72 forests were to gather, he would definitely not be able to do it alone. He knows this too, though they are working to strengthen the power of the Chalgan Murinchan Rekchingan. But there are still a small number of high-level masters. The man asked him if he missed them when they were together at Nangshan Temple. Seo Kaju said he couldn't say no. Then he's unlikely. The man said he was going to kick the bastards' asses. He asked if he knew where these assholes were. In general terms, he knows about the location, even if he doesn't listen to Confucius. Baekmugun. Let him then listen to his main games and said I on it was so. If the bastards say Gyangvi is reborn, this guy will grab the old man's dementia. He apologizes for calling him an old man. If Nanchung's message comes, they'll be in big trouble. He's putting him in charge of it, so don't let him worry. Even if he fails, he'll take it and pull them with him. A lot had happened since the man had gone on the search. It's unexpected, but it had to happen sometime. They can't take the initiative to start. He no longer wants to clash with the demons of the Heaven's Gate, not trying to spread out to kill them first. At that moment, the girl was running somewhere very fast. She saw Seo Ka-ju in front of her. Seo Ka-ju just stood there looking at her. He said that's how he came back. Once more he said he was back, and called her Soren. After that, the girl hugged him tightly. Seo Ka-ju and the girl were in bed. Then they stood up and began to pack. The girl asked her if Seo Ka-ju was leaving. He needed to make sure she got there safely. He was in a hurry, so he had to gather his strength for Murim. She knows that. Seo Ka-ju walked up to her at that moment. He said he would try to get back quickly. The next opponent is the Heaven's Gate demons and the Green Forest bandits. They won't be able to avoid the war. Seo Ka-ju must find them as soon as possible to fight them. Seo Ka-ju apologized as soon as he confessed to her and his heart. He immediately had to leave, but the girl was still pleased with his words. She says it's okay, and she knows he has to do it. She can wait for him forever if he promises to come back. Seo Ka-ju thanked her. He would definitely come back this time. Chalgan Sohungora Wej General Corp. He didn't think that one would be here quickly. It was possible because he used Sohung's old estate. So if this is the right way, then it's flawless. To have such a result had to quickly inform the General Corps all heard about what happened. Bandits 72 scaffolding plus they have Heaven's Gate demons behind them. The fight won't be easy. Seo Ka-ju said he has his own choice. The act brings a big problem on them. This group of bandits returned leaving out karma. The bandits of the 72 forests used to put out all their forces when they moved. If they looked at the total strength at present, it couldn't be said that they were superior to them. In this case, he believes that every tactic of annihilation should be utilized. Before attacking the bandits of 72 scaffolding, a meeting must be held. You need to organize groups of troops and capture every gang from the wild forest. This will maintain a numerical advantage and minimize damage. Seo Ka-ju told his brother that it's a great strategy, but he doesn't think he can use it this time. The boy asked why. There are 3 reasons for this. First, the warriors along the trumpet route will be exhausted and will have no choice but to fight in a tired state. The bandits will recognize this and win. Secondly, while all their main forces are searching for bandits, there is a risk of a surprise attack on their temple. The guy asked what the third reason was. His game said it was a more important reason than the previous 2, because he would have to inform the people of total defeat. They will have to somehow subdue them and hide in the forest again to prevent all of this from happening. It is necessary not to give the feeling of fear. Fear makes them feel that if there is an opponent they can't defeat, they need to strike first. Total war and total might were necessary to open the heavenly demon gate behind them. He answered his question. The guy said it was so accurate. He added that his tactics are definitely not bad. When he heard his plan, he thought of a better strategy. Don't let him blame himself, because he helped him a lot. The man asked what is the basic concept of the strategy completed. Now to elaborate. Let them gather all the leadership as soon as possible. The 3 kings of the Green Forest. The crypt of Shinma is the Henin group. Why do they have property assembled here? They already know everything. Consultakus in chapter. The man was furious at this point. They must know that Kurench has been destroyed. He doesn't know how they were able to kill him, but he was definitely a true master. Probably one of the Chalgan faction did it. Aren't the 3 kings of the Green Forest worried about such humiliation? He will have his revenge on them. The Chalgan Murin warriors have been praised a lot lately. They probably weren't the ones who broke up the unit. The bandits of the Green Forest must gather all their forces and destroy every last one of them. But lately, rumors have been circulating that there are 2 of the best craftsmen in town. After saying that, he grabbed him by the neck. So he says he wants to run away instead of fight. Didn't forget why the Heaven's Gate demons took care of him. Damn bandits and puppies if they dare to listen. Just get that useless bastard out of here. At this point, the guy stopped him. If they cripple each other now, it will only benefit the enemy. The man thought about it for a moment and let the man go after all. Says it right. They shouldn't lower their power before the final fight, so he'll let it go. But if he shows his fear one more time, he'll break it. Let the bandits from the 72 wild forests come and destroy Chalgan Murin together. They said that's it. He'll have to pay for the food the bandits have been eating all this time. The man asked if he had figured out so far who had destroyed Gurench. He said it was Handbeak of Nangshan Temple. It's hard to believe that a man who has been in hiding for 30 years single-handedly destroyed Gurench. Was he really alone? It doesn't really matter much, but it has given him an excuse to destroy factions. Have them send a guy strong enough not to be killed right away. Rumor has it there are two absolute masters in town. The man said he was simply worrying for nothing. Should he really send it? And he's still worried, but let him watch it. Let the Heaven's Gate, who lost all their silver in trying to catch the old man, worry better. He suggested that the arrangement here should be simple: disperse for the Heaven's Gate demons. How dare he? Chanthang warriors gathering. As they know, the battle with the bandits of the 72 forests has become inevitable. It's time to rally the armed forces to destroy the bandits and restore justice to the forces of peace. The bandits of the 72 forests are not just bandits, but very powerful bandits. They think that Murim can't be completely sure of victory. Obviously they have more power and skill than they do. However, if they look at it from my perspective, they can crush mountains of bandits and enemies if given the chance to tell their plan. What now? His brother goes on to explain the strategy in detail. He will now tell him the current situation. Unit 72 of Mount Nokrim concentrate their forces at Noho village on Mount Tangmu, near Hangzhou. We must mobilize the Zhejiang provincial military forces present in Hangzhou because it will be easy to board their ships there quickly. However, according to the information they received, it seems that the forces of MT Nokrim Squad 72 outnumber them by 50%. The man was surprised that there were so many of them. Wasn't the difference too big? What about martial artists? Some of the masters they were able to confirm were the Nokrim Mountain Martial King Li Jiakeng, who is one of the 3 kings of the mountain, the energetic Tiger Fist Zhuguang, the 13th Great Wing, the Black Bear Coca player, and the Mad Tiger Clone, a non-strong martial artist, although they have not yet joined the village. According to confirmed reports, the advancement by the armed forces will double their numbers in the province. These mountain bandits would definitely seize the opportunity to invade the headquarters when the entire military forces of the 10 families were mobilized. Their forces are twice as large and their headquarters could be in danger if they mobilize provincial military forces. Such was the dilemma. Well, what will they do now if there is no change in their plans and they will mobilize as planned? If what he said earlier was true, then mobilizing their forces would be a reckless plan of action. The main character told him to wait until he was done talking. Then, with a smile on his face, he looked at his brother. The man at this point was clearly not entirely pleased. Guy said that the enemy was trying to trick them, not exaggerating their strength to confuse them, and the source of the information he received was somewhat suspicious. The number of mountain bandits hiding in the forest couldn't have been that large. It's not like all 72 squads will be mobilized, so there's no chance that their armed forces will be larger than their own. Besides, they don't need to fear that their chances of victory will be low due to the superiority of the martial artists, but they also shouldn't ignore the possibility that their HQs might actually suffer heavy casualties if they fight these bandits, who are fully trained for frontline combat. So they need a strategy that can secure the headquarters and instill fear in the careless mounted unit of 72 Nokrim. First of all, they need to mobilize before those bastards gather, and in the meantime, focus on raising their military prowess. He said they would proceed with his plan as soon as Unit 72 was mobilized. At that moment, the man was heading somewhere. Then he saw some kind of bullet in front of him and couldn't figure out what it was. Of course, after what he saw, the man became worried. Then his horse spooked. The man inside the wagon asked what was wrong. The man said they were surrounded by bandits and had to slowly escape. The girl was very surprised that they were mountain bandits. At this moment, a group of people were following other people. The man told the young lady that it would be a big problem if they were caught, but the girl didn't listen to him and watched them carefully. Of course, they didn't notice her at that moment. Bandits exist, but in groups like this, men have never seen them before. It's strange why bandits act like soldiers. She's seeing this for the first time. Of course, she doesn't think it's okay. The girl said that was enough for now and he could come back. Something was wrong. Now was not the time for leisurely strolls through the sights. At that moment, a man was walking through the woods. It was the same man. He couldn't understand why Jean Ure was hiding in such a place. At that moment, the man stopped and noticed something. He smelled blood and the sound of swords. No way. God damn it. Is he too late? At that moment some girl responded to the man's call. He was greatly surprised when he saw it. Sunset Sword. Jean Ure. He came here to confess his feelings to her for the 17th time, though this time it took longer. She knows he's married now. The man reported that people from their town had started to get in the way and he thought he was a little late. The guys came here to kill her. These assassins were sent by the great group of assassins of the heavenly god Mamun. Heavenly God Mamun. He meant that they were reborn. They are operating in secret again and have expanded their influence. But she has nothing to worry about. The girl asked if the 9 great factions had begun mobilization. The man said that Gyangvi had returned. The girl couldn't believe it. She thought he'd lost his mind. She had always distrusted his words, but he was telling the truth. Believe it or not, the assassins will keep coming if she stays here. She must leave with him, for the sky god Mamoon has been reborn. Then they both hit the road. The man said they were going to Yankelgan and Huanlei if Gyangvi had indeed returned. Then people from their past will gather again. Hangzhou. Every day is spent training to become stronger, and their military power grows. The man thought it was a good idea to do joint training and said it was a great job. The guy came running in and said that the information from the heavenly secret house had arrived. The protagonist thanked him and offered to take a break. Seo Kaju began to study the information he had received. The man asked what it said. The document said that the main forces of Unit 72 had arrived in the village, while the rest of the enemies had infiltrated throughout the province. Everything's going just as they predicted. Now it's their turn to move out. Seo Kaju agreed and suggested that we start mobilizing. He instructed him to tell the troops to get on with the strategy. The boy agreed. The 4 outer warriors have yet to arrive. Seo Kaju said they would arrive on time, but not in time to explain the strategy to them. These warriors would already understand his intentions after reading the situation. The 4 outer warriors were people who had confirmed their names in this world. The boy reported that the battle master, the king of Mount Nokrim, had arrived. The man didn't understand what that meant. The armed forces in Hangzhou are leaving. With the exception of the Baekmugun clan and Koan Chongshan, everyone left the province and fled the city. The man asked if it was true and what about the Baekak clan. He was confirmed that the clan had also boarded a ship and left the city. The man said that this was their chance to win. They run away with their tails between them, for they faced overwhelming forces and were nothing more than cowards. Even my slaves, the art of Soko, levels such as the Baekakam clan, had retreated. Now only worthless and lowly trash remained. Have him deliver this message to Nokrim 12. What are they going to do with these bastards? At that moment, a group of people came somewhere. Seo Kaju was on the other side with his army. The man laughed and said that everyone came running as soon as they saw them, and only a few stayed behind. They were cowards. The brown bear claw, Kong Mu, said he didn't think they should fight at all. Even so, they were using their brains to the fullest, and he didn't expect them to be able to overcome their lack of numbers in the narrow terrain. Their strategies are still futile given the superior enemy forces. The man said they definitely wouldn't finish them off in one blow. It was doubtful what he meant. It was the crazy blood of a family of tyrants called Mayong Sang. He asked if he thought it was reckless and that their opponents were not as stupid as they thought. He thought these cornered rats were capable of something, just a little alarmed. If he's still that disturbed, he can just stand there and watch without trampling on these assholes. The man understood everything. If this is the battle the king of the mountain wants, then it's time. The man said it was time. They needed to move out to attack. They need to turn these assholes into nothing. Seo Kaju said as the opponents began their attack. But finally, something begins that you don't have to worry about. They will be the only ones to come out on top. Everyone was ready to attack, and at that moment, the opponents stopped. They were quite surprised for some reason. At this point, the guy was also, of course, fighting. He beat them with ease with a backhand punch. What's going on? Their vanguard can't advance. They have to win. At this moment, it appeared that their warriors were also nearby in the forest. Just at that moment they attacked from the air. Of course, they didn't realize it was an ambush. They're in big trouble. What happened? The armed forces hid their troops and ambushed them. The man came to the tier afterward. This clan just got together and built an ambush. They're a no-brainer. Those arrogant bastards came and acted so stupidly. He must go on his own. Let everyone follow him. Let them just watch and wait. You dirty bastards. This asshole is the leader of these thugs. The man began manually attacking everyone. He was furious and told them all to die. Seo Kaju then decided to intervene in the battle. He attacked the man at that moment. Seo Kaju asked where he thought he was going. He's the only one he'll run into. At this point in the village, they are such wild assholes that they are mad at their commanders. As the young gentleman said, what the mountain marshal king said was true. The city was completely empty. They can't allow that possibility. Let them kill them all and take everything they have. The guy was yelling for them not to back down. They have to protect the people. At this point, they started fighting sports nicknames. The guy tried his best to defend himself. The man at this point was surprised by something. Right at that moment, the guy landed behind him, and then in 1 second, he killed them all. 4 heavenly waves, swear by the wild wind. Yang Cheol-gong asked if everything was alright. The guy said he was fine, thanked him and asked him who he was. So it was true that the jerks from Nokrim had risen. It was the 4 heavenly waves. The 9th dragon fist, Huang Lei. It was the heavenly god who was fixing it all. He thinks, or it's a good time to relax and socialize. Let Tropy not care about events. The jerk from District 72. Then let him take care of the others. The guy thanked them for their help and wouldn't let their names be known. The girl said that it wasn't the 4 heavenly waves. It should be known. So many of the right people descended to them. The man was acting like an animal at this point. I am from the moment the great men of Garno fight alongside them. At this point, the man began to attack the girl, but the girl was undeterred and launched an attack. The kids were in awe of how strong she was. Then they started thanking her and hugging her. At this moment, Seo Kaju was standing right in front of the man. Along with him, of course, were his assistants. The man asked, but he was from the Baek Jie clan. This isn't some trash for him to talk so nonchalantly. Seo Kaju then began to attack the man and scrambled through him with his strength. To his surprise, he was fine and on his feet. The man then stood up and began to attack Seo Kaju. Of course, his shield couldn't prevent this attack. He was too imposing for a mere brigand. At that moment, the man attacked Seo Kaju. Where did all his power go? The man said he would help him. He is the battle king of Nokrim. At this point, the guy was helped by his father against the man. Then more men showed up and said they would help. Seo Kaju looked at them at this moment with a smile on his face. The man couldn't understand how they dared. It was just that milksops like him were arrogant enough looking him in the face. Let them forget about the 12 beast kings over the mountains. They think low animals like them deserve to be like humans. They haven't forgotten about him, have they? He brought in so many of his subordinates. Seo Kaju said worse. The man was scared. This place would soon be his graveyard. He's just a little brat who's still wet behind the ears. He will teach him how to respect his elders and soul-destroying chi. How powerful the man was. He really thought he could repel him so easily using this insignificant shield. At that moment, there was an explosion. The guy started to worry about his friend and reached out to him. The man couldn't tell if it had killed him. As expected, Seo Kaju emerged from those ashes. The man said he was a little brat, but he was pretty impressive. However, it will split him along with his shield in two. Then at that moment, Seo Kaju continued to act. He has repelled the yoga of the blow. He cannot move his axe. Does that mean that this glitch's chi is superior to his? The man really didn't know the answer to this hard question. Seo Kaju began to destroy his weapons. The man couldn't understand how this was even possible. He then completely destroyed his weapon. The man said the guy was a bastard. There seems to be something unusual about this martial arts man's skills. Could he be the one who took down a large group of Consul clan assassins? The mad blood of the family. What is he doing? Why doesn't he hurry up and help him? If they don't intervene immediately, Nokrim will be defeated. Of course, that can't be allowed to happen. In addition, at this stage, they remove obstacles in the path of the heavenly god Mamun. The man in charge noticed as the men began to approach. At this point the men were ready to attack. The man started attacking Seo Kaju at this moment. Finally, the heavenly god Mamun began to act. He runs mad blood, at least judging by his efforts. He seems to be a master of the arts above the level. It's all because he can take care of his business properly, and he himself should be involved in the end. He'll kill those bastards and then we'll see how he takes responsibility for making sure it doesn't happen again. There are 2 martial artists here, and a level more. He thinks it should be a bit difficult. The man in charge began to use his power against them. He will cut off the head and offer it as a token of gratitude to the mad blood. At that moment, the man in front of him saw Seo Kaju's shield. Then, as expected, he flew several meters away from that shield. The main world said enough is enough. He doesn't have time to fight weaklings like him. The man really couldn't match anything to him. Seo Kaju then divided it into 2 parts. He turned his attention to the rest of the opponents. Seo Kaju attacked sharply. The man told them to hold the bastard properly. Then the deadly mad blood was used. Seo Kaju really started to get worried at this point. The man couldn't understand what had already happened. And at that moment, another man appeared on the battlefield. He seems to need a little help. Seo Kaju was happy to see the man in front of him. One of the men was also fighting. The woman asked if they had arrived too late. The man apologized, for they were a little late. It was all because they were removing a few obstacles. The naked man said not at all. They arrived just in time. The man was pretty furious with them all. They were the 4 celestial waves. the Fist of Nine Dragons, Huan Lei, Sword of Sunset, Jin Yu Ri, Sword of Wild Wind, and Yang Chul Gong. The man thought Han Baek was talking nonsense, but now that he's met him himself, it makes him believe. Seo Ka-ju, the hero, knew it would be hard for him to believe, but he had no doubt that he would come. The man laughed loudly and said he told him, even if he needed to beat someone to death, he would get them to him in time. He's messing with him or something. After all, he knows how to look for them in all directions and made it easier for the assassins to attack them. He was stubborn and tired of going elsewhere. They were the ones who brought him here. It didn't matter, because this was how the 4 heavenly clans gathered. He kept his promise. Oh my, this age doesn't change. That's why he still hasn't changed. What did he just say? The 4 heavenly clans, not people in the past, had fought the bloody devil along with the god of thunder. As the highborn people who hadn't shown up in Murima for decades showed up again, Seo Ka-ju said that they are still the same guys as before. The woman smiled when he said that. The man was very frightened when he heard about the 4 heavenly clans, those Cheon-sal clan bastards. They were confident back then, but in the end, they couldn't defeat any of them. If you fought against that young master from the Baek Jie clan alone, you could win. But no, it would be possible if there weren't 4 heavenly clans around. He wants them to detain the 4 heavenly clans. This is when the encounter with the main character takes place. The men began to attack, just as the other had ordered him to. It's the same. It's a brutal mad blood martial art. They can hold those 3 high-ranked masters back. Games said they are with Han Baek, apprehending his absolute level master. Even though they call themselves the 4 heavenly clans, they are just old stale fighters. He will finish them all off. The woman became furious after those words. The man also became furious after his words. They couldn't understand what he had said. He noticed something at that moment. The woman looked at him and said he had just called her an old woman with dry wrinkled skin and age spots. He's a little puppy with milk still on his lips. He just compared them to the dust left in the urns, but he didn't say it. Seo Ka-ju assumed that they were highly insecure because of their age, but they didn't pretend otherwise. Of course, they couldn't stand to look at young shameless warriors. The man was furious at this point. Seo Ka-ju said that he is not an opponent that can be underestimated. As long as they're with him, no one can beat them. The man began to use all his strength, but the man began to fend off this attack as well. Seo Ka-ju rose into the air and was ready to attack the man. Then he did attack. Most of his chi had gone in the last fight. He thought he could still waste so much chi. The man continued to resist. Seo Ka-ju asked, what was the big deal? After all, he had recently been overwhelmed with confidence. Was this his strategy or what? It was impossible. How could he produce so much power even after expending so much energy? He's actually even stronger than the young one. Just at that moment, Seo Ka-ju broke his arm chains. Of course, the protagonist noticed this. After that, the man came to rage once more. The man said he's satisfied with the scare, but he's still not a contender. He needs some time to focus his energy. The man said he would hold off the enemy until he was ready. Let them try this. The man noticed that his opponent was pretty good. Bloody Demon Lord. That's when the man confronted them. The man said he would help him. It was a black devil of mad blood. The man said it was unpleasant. After that, the 2 of them simultaneously attacked him. The man tried to defend himself against them. Just at that moment, he noticed Seo Ka-ju in front of him. Seo Ka-ju, the hero, asked if the man was still alive. He was a bit inattentive. Descendant of the thunder god. That was fine. Let him put himself to the ultimate limits for the rest of the fight. The man agreed and told the lad to do his best. The man called him a bastard and realized he was the reincarnation of the thunder god. No one lived long after finding out about it. The same fate awaits him. Afterward he used the heavenly thunderbolt. The man decided to use the bloody devil lord in turn. After that, the man began to struggle with Seo Ka-ju. Then everyone saw it like this. He organized a small crater at the spot where the man had been standing. It was impossible and absolutely supreme. He is indeed the reincarnation of the thunder god who destroyed the devil into the devil. His level is not enough to overpower him. He must at least survive to tell about it. Seo Ka-ju said that in the end, starting with the heavenly god Mamun, one prefers to flee. At that moment, a man was just finishing off another man. He then launched that shield right towards the main character. Seo Ka-ju chose a moment and jumped up at that moment. He landed right on the shield at that moment, and then started coming right at him. He began to catch up with the man, who was running away at that moment. The man, of course, noticed this, but Seo Ka-ju was unstoppable. He finished the man off. His bare chest was becoming visible after he finished off the man. Everyone was very much surprised when they saw it. How could this happen? Even the Blood Devil Lord had died. At this point, the woman was ready to attack. She finished the man off in an instant. Seo Kaju told him that no one survived after finding out who he was. Just at this moment, Seo Kaju felt a headache but still didn't run up to him. Let him not exert himself too much. He's not what he used to be. He still can't control his martial arts for long. When the woman addressed him as Gu Yang Wei, he said that he didn't notice it anymore, that he was still as good as ever. She had thought Han Baek's ears when she first heard him say he was back, but now, seeing the form he had just used, she had no doubt that he was back. It was also a martial art he had used in the past. She came out and ignored all the facts given. They thanked him for coming. He was marvelous. They had to say that. They were glad to see him. The report was about the battle. The man was lying dead on the ground at that moment. Everyone looked proudly into the distance. All 12 of Mount Nokrim's units were defeated. A man had better take a look at this. The bastards cowardly run away. The man asked if they would be harassed. The protagonist answered in the affirmative. Seo Kaju then raised his sword upwards. A bunch of bandits escape. The mountain has offered to get rid of all of Nokrim's martial artists and the sky god Mamun. Victory belongs to their warriors, the Jujong forces. Bell is all motivated at this point. Then the guy got a letter from a pigeon. The man asked the young gentleman if the mailman who had just arrived could be the one reporting the battle. This is their undeniable victory. They defeated the main force of the 72nd Division with minimal casualties. The man asked if that was true. He was glad to hear it, but the war wasn't over yet. They had destroyed the main force of the 72nd Division, but the troops that had infiltrated the city would just be defeated. They mustn't lose activity. The man said he was right. He apologizes. He overreacted, rejoicing in their victory. Guy said to go with reinforcements to the Panda clan on the battlefield and give them news of the enemy and his troops. He would do as he said. At this point, he started to walk away. Then the guy himself began to cheer. He knew from the beginning that Seo Kaju would win. At that moment, a battle was taking place. There were too many of these filthy bandits here. Their numbers were dwindling as many were killed. Behind them are villages. If they fall, its inhabitants will be in danger. The guy said there's no way they're giving up. The girl appeared at this point and asked if they needed help. Then Vadine struck them all with a blow. She was, as always, professional and prompt. She asked if the boys were all right. They were very surprised at her skill and said they were fine. Nokrim's attack was very strong. There were too many of them. That's why it was hard for them. So it will help them. They must fulfill their duties of justice in Gango. And they told her they were very grateful to her. At that moment, the girl noticed something. The Panda clan warriors have received reinforcements. The main forces of the 72nd unit are loyal, so the clan warriors must be brave. They said that their main forces had defeated the King of the Bit in the mountains and the 12th Division in the mountains. At that moment, they noticed a large cloud of dust. After that, they immediately started running away. It was expected that all mountain bandits don't run away when scared. It's easier for them that way. As expected from Seo Kajum, he knows how to hold on for an impressive win. Now their military force would become well known throughout Murima. At that moment, a dove flew over the city. Everyone rejoiced at that moment. The protagonist asked if there was any news. The girl said that the capture of Nokrim had been successfully accomplished by the young lord. All forces sent to the mountains were successfully blocked. Even so, the Nokrim and Russia might try a continent-wide attack in the future. The armed forces still can't identify and destroy the remaining forces because they have successfully defended insufficient or what. As long as the sky god still controls Nokrim, the mountain bandits can scatter across Murim to raise a checkmate. You don't have to destroy absolutely every single one of them to avoid trouble. So what he means to say is that the water bandits, like the alliance of the bandits in the Yangtze River and the Evil Ocean Group, can also be used against them. The agents of the Heavenly Secret House are monitoring Zhongdong-1 as they speak. As expected, she is always one step ahead of him. She was such a wise woman. That's why he can do nothing but love her. There's one more thing to do. It's not urgent, so there's time to make amends for all the time she's spent alone. At that moment, the pigeon flew on Namgung family house. He sat on someone's arm. In the end, the Baek family and the Jujon armed forces need help from the 7 great families, clashing with the 72nd Division of Mount Nokrim. The girl went in to see him and wanted to tell him about Mr. 7 Baek Ga. I wonder what kind of person he is, but she wants to meet him. The training ground of the Black Ga clan. They were practicing hard at this point. The men told him not to feel constrained. Of course, they obeyed their master. He'll be in trouble if he underestimates them. He coached them personally. The formation of 3 absolute ruined souls was used. At this point, the guy brought the man in from the back, and he noticed it. He was ready to answer him and defend himself. When the guy ducked sharply, the man launched an attack. The man then immediately began to attack him. But the man wasn't one of the weakest of the weak either and began to defend himself. Then 2 men from the air attacked him, he said with a smile. It looked like the young master had trained them well. He couldn't believe that they could resist one of the 3 heavenly warriors so well. Seo Kaju was also impressed. All because they've been trained. They need to at least pay for room and board. He feels like these demands are too high for them. If they wished for their clans to have a decent place on the mainland, they had no choice but to aim higher. He was right, and now he longed to stop at hers. Responses from the great factions and families have already been received. They are requesting that the military forces attend a meeting to discuss the incident over Nokrim. He had expected something like this, but he didn't say he was glad. The prestige of the army was rising. Wasn't that good news? The great factions seem to be hoping that their army will become close friends with the Nokrim. They did something weird once, but there's no guarantee they won't do it again. It seems to him that they represent the right faction to protect the continent. They need their might to stand against the Nokrim and the sky god Mamun. Nokrim most often acted by destroying GWI Ho's village, so there would be no more problems. However, he would go to Yukin. It was good that he could handle the case, and he would go with him once more. He doesn't want to cause trouble for his clan, so he will go alone. But an important person is needed by their clan and he should understand the importance of safety. Let him take at least government or elite soldiers with him. He would not accept his refusal. At this point, their training continued. The man said it was quite difficult. He was already tired. The man had said they would go on a little longer. He just relaxed his muscles. He said they should end it now, because they were all exhausted. Someone would get seriously injured if they continued this. Seo Kaju asked Huan Lei, does he like fighting against kids? It's all because their abilities are at a high level. It led to excitement, and he didn't notice that the technique he was using was very useful, and he's glad he appreciated the value of these guys. It seems to be very stimulating for them. Others have taken up training. The man thought he could take a man like him with him. Seo Kaju asked the man if he was busy right now. He said he wasn't going. There was something he needed to do. Tulin, Anhui province. The chief shorter asked where they would meet. Would they not meet at the largest inn in this harbor? The man asked if he wanted to deal with the bastards. Since they would meet with them anyway for many reasons, it would be easier to work with them. Since they are going to Yukin, you can be sure that more guests will come to watch them. The man asked if they are allergic to the Yangtze River waterways. They have nothing but more people. At that moment, the man noticed something. He asked, are they from the Baek Jie clan? He was happy to see them. Or should he say they hadn't seen each other in a while? Seo Kaju said he apologized. Now that he has witnessed all these recent events, he realizes why he hid his true size back then. Since they had reserved a seat at the inn, he should go first. The Namgong clan had invited them. Gori looked at the man. He was displeased about something. Seo Kaju told him to make a simpler face. Even the members of the heavenly god would run away in fear if they saw his face now. He can't pull a smile on his face when he sees these creatures. They overcame it in past lives. Seo Kaju thanked for being angry for him, but right now they need the power of the 7 great lights. He has his own way of getting revenge. He was right. The real place is not just about beating them. The real place will be when their military forces come to all the great families. To eliminate their vested interests, they must eliminate their vested interests. The fellow greeted the warriors, and his name was Namgung. Before all this, they should not cooperate with them and utilize them to the best of their ability. The guy at that moment noticed unwittingly the man standing next to him. The guy heard that he's to the 9 dragons. He hopes he couldn't make a deal. He was the clan master if he wanted to cooperate. The girl said that she was still dissatisfied with Medina of the unsightly 4 heavenly winds. He is the hero who lords over Murim, so it is natural for him to show his power. She apologizes for her late greeting as the first daughter of the Namgung clan. She hopes they don't mind the favor of their power, since they won't be able to get to Yukin safely, especially an inept girl like her. It turns out that she is the first of this clan. He thought that the daughter of the clan would be cowardly, but she is much braver than he could have imagined. At that moment, she came closer. She looked at Seo Kaju at this moment. Then she lowered her gaze and hesitated. She realized that he was an unusual man. A letter came from the Jongsal clan. It said that they had found the protagonist from the Nine Dragon clan and were on their way to Yukon. Something happened that no one expected. They joined the Namgung clan. Even if their clan shrinks, it would be too difficult to fight them alone. And unfortunately, they wouldn't go across the Yangtze River. He thinks they can get the 3 river rulers from the Waterway League involved. It's an excellent plan. They can also ask for help from the 2 Nokrim rulers who are against the Sokaju clan. Warring together for those holding a grudge sounds quite interesting. May he hand over to them to do as they wish. At this moment, Seokaju was standing outside with a girl. He asked what the meeting was for. The girl was shy at this point. The hero couldn't understand why she was acting this way. At this moment, his expression changed dramatically. If she didn't want to say anything, then he would leave and the girl began to rebuild him. She has something she wants to tell him. She was very shy at this point. To his surprise, she said she loved him. Seokaju didn't understand what she meant or why she was saying it. At that moment, a group of people were making their way through. Dark Jongsal, Yu Haiguan said that the Namgung and Baek clans are inside. Their assassins will launch an attack when everything is in chaos. Don't go inside and attack their warriors. Also with him were Kulak and the mountain fighter Nokrim, and Gu Guang, and the Yangtze River Guard chief, Huang Chi-su. When they have to kill first, the 2 clans will be inside at the same time. The main characters were still with the girl at this point. Seokaju thanked her for her words. Honestly, he was shocked by her confession. She confessed her love to him. She fell in love at first sight. Not only did they meet, how could she love him? Does love need a reason? Does he know how long she has wanted to meet the man she calls the best in this world for his martial science and good looks? It all turned out to be true. She reiterated that she loved him and asked if he would reject her. She asked me to please tell her how I felt. She continued to look at him at that moment. Seokaju won't say no to the girl who approaches him first, but he thinks there's some reason she's hiding. He can't accept the confession of a woman who has hidden agendas. The girl marveled at this moment, and then she smiled evilly. She said he died overnight, a young master, and she's impressed. He is a hero of lust, someone who has sex with many women because he falls in love easily. Seokaju says what her truth really is, but she's interested in him, so she told the truth, and doesn't think it's a bad offer for him. And why was she screaming like that? Why did she think that? If he marries her, the Baek clan will be protected by the Namgung clan. He wants to develop his clan and military strength. She has the martial arts skills to do so. Wouldn't it be better if he is help in this endeavor? Then the result will be better. Don't think like that. It does not improve his intentions. On the contrary, it only makes them worse. It's not something he can say to anyone, but he thinks he should say it to her. He never wanted anyone, including their clan, to interfere in their military affairs. Would she be satisfied with that answer? He means would she be okay if she had to feel in such tricks for political maneuvering now? Isn't her heart the most important thing? Or rather, isn't it more important than the relationship between the clans? Let him stop pretending he cares about her. She is the daughter of the Namgung clan. Even if she is at her peak right now, she cannot be in his pity. That it didn't matter how beautiful he was, but he should feel that way just because of hearing those words. He couldn't understand what was beginning to happen. Just at that moment, the attack began. The girl couldn't understand why he was doing this, but Seokaju immediately started defending her. He then asked if she was okay. The girl was very much surprised at this action of the guy. She said that apparently someone was trying to attack them, but who could it be? No one at my place would do such a thing. They made a surprise attack on their clan. Seokaju said that there's a good chance they've broken into the building and she'll be in danger if she moves around without caution, so let her stand behind him. At that moment, Seokaju began to attack. Of course he noticed this and immediately went on the defensive. He called them opponents of the Jongsal clan and said he would make them pay for everything today. Looks like a failure, but the god is trying to imitate others. He has no sword and has no choice but to fight him with only a shield. The young master is in a bad position. He doesn't have his sword with him. All she can do right now, it's to find his sword. Seokaju, when he noticed it, told her that it wasn't safe there. The guy at this point wondered where he was looking. Seokaju continued the battle. He wondered if the man seriously thought he could hurt him. Can hurt with some pathetic magic? Seokaju began to use his powers, but the guy wasn't a slacker and bounced back. But still, he was also very much intimidated by such strength of Seokaju. Then, Seokaju still had him, and then immediately afterward, he was taken under attack again. The protagonist jumped up at this moment. He is a fist warrior from the Nokrim mountains, and he will kill him with his fist. The protagonist failed to react and flew backwards a bit. He is out of situation. He has two martial artists of the same level against him. It will be very hard to fight him without the ball. Just at that moment he noticed the young lady. She had the Lord's sword in her hand. She brought him a sword. Seo Ka-ju thanked her, ignoring the danger but helping him anyway. Seo Ka-ju said that there's no need to worry right now. He'll be done with him in no time.